Driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Whew. Hi, everybody. Man, the hits just keep on coming. How's our camera look for Facebook Live? Do we need to focus it a little bit? Hey, Mark Pinsky, how are you doing? I need to do what? I need to tilt it up a little bit? Just tilt it up? Okay, let's adjust our cameras for our Facebook live stream. We would love for you to join us there. How's that? And I'm so thrilled that you're joining us for Driving It Home, wherever you're listening or enjoying our broadcast today. Thank you to our friends listening on KKNW 1150 in Seattle, the alternative talk of Seattle, Washington. These conversations are made possible, of course, by our sponsors. I mentioned yesterday the incredible effort it takes to put together these shows and to get support, because it's daunting to realize that there are over 1,500, it's probably more than 1,700, but according to research, there's at least 1,500 conservative talk radio stations around the country that reach people every single day, over hundreds of millions of people. And there's probably less than a dozen progressive talk, because the billionaires bought up all the stations in order to prevent people from saying that billionaires should be taxed, that labor deserves to be able to bargain, that we need accessible, affordable health care and housing. And that has been a steady, just a drumbeat of that Democrats are communists, that we are not Christian, all these horrible things that they've said. And it isn't that our message doesn't resonate. It's that we aren't able to reach as many people as the conservatives have been able to pound these stories away with, whether it's through, and then on top of the 1,500 conservative talk stations, there are 700 religious stations that also will come on and talk about how abortion is against the teachings of Christ, even though, as you know, if you've heard John Fugelsang talk about the Bible, or perhaps your own understanding of the teachings of Christ and the Bible, that's not the case as far as Christianity goes. As a matter of fact, there's instructions on how to have an abortion from God. There's also the fine for a fetus not surviving if a woman is injured while she's pregnant, and yet there's a higher penalty and punishment for killing a woman than there is for fetus. And yet we have places like Texas, where we found out yesterday there is one of the legislators who crafted this bill making abortion not just illegal, but putting bounties on people's heads if they have an abortion, if they're the doctor that performs the abortion, if someone helps a woman have an abortion. This guy has been having an extramarital affair for 17 years, and she says he's been paying for her abortions. You can go to heartlandsignal.com and learn more about that story. I'll talk about it throughout the show a little bit later. But yes, one of the guys who crafted this and put bounties on women's heads and their friends, their family, their doctors, has been paying for abortions, as she alleges. At any rate, what I'm trying to say is, in order to cut through some of the noise, reach some of the people, I think the most I can strive for really is providing a platform where people who are watching this unfold, when a convicted felon of 34 counts for his business lies and manipulations of numbers, somebody who has been held liable for has been in court, cannot say that woman didn't rape her. That was what that libel was. That jury found that he can't say that about Jean Carroll. At any rate, has been accused numerous times. And look, not even just accused. He has said he abuses women when he says he will grab them by you can just grab them by the vagina, which, by the way, folks, is sexual violence. Okay, why am I feel like I started out calmly, and it escalated from there. Okay, I was just trying to thank our sponsors. It got away from me, Lady B. It was supposed to be gratitude, and all of a sudden I'm like, let me tell you another thing. So let me tell you another thing, because that's made possible by our wonderful sponsors, like our friends Peter Sorellis, Warren Price at Source Solar. We're going to have them back next Thursday, because we were hit by lightning the day they were on. I know it's... someone got mad on my Facebook page because we were making a joke about Trump controlling the weather, because that's what they said last year about North Carolina when they said that Biden was controlling the weather. And anyway, we made a joke about this, and someone was like, shit, yeah, okay, now Trump controls the weather. Oh my God. Humor. I know it's difficult, folks, especially if you don't have critical thinking. I know it's difficult. At any rate, when Source Solar was on with us, Peter and Warren were in studio on Thursday. We had experienced a tremendous amount of technical difficulties as our transmitter was out after a lightning strike here. So we are going to welcome them back next Thursday at 6 o'clock to continue our conversation about these incentives for solar panels, renewable energy. They're going to expire for individuals next at the end of this year. At the end of 2025, those incentives will expire. And I know you think, well, okay, I've got some time. The important thing to understand is that you have got to start the process. If you've been on the fence, now just make the appointment. Peter Sorrells is not a heavy, he's not going to strong arm you. He's not going to pressure you. He'll lay out all the facts, make it understandable, digestible, so that you can make a well-informed decision. And if you own a business, you might have a little more time, but don't hesitate. And join thousands of happy customers in the Chicagoland area. Go to source.solar and make an appointment. Oh, man. If you talk to Peter, he's very comforting through this very difficult process and understanding all of it. And ultimately, it doesn't seem like it's that complicated. I do not have a roof that can do this, and I'm jealous. So there you go. Also want to thank our friends at Pride Coffee Roasters. Got a phone call this morning. I got butt dialed by Jackie from Pride Coffee Roasters because her wife's name is also Patty. Jackie, it was lovely to talk to you first thing in the morning. I had not yet had my coffee. I start every morning, although my husband does set up everything for the coffee to be ready in the morning. We can just get up and hit the button. I start with a big mug of water in the cup that I will then pour my delicious Pride Coffee Roasters brew into thereafter. So go to pridecoffeeroasters.com. Maybe it's time for you to subscribe to their bean subscription and enjoy their incredible coffee. You can also pick up some of their swag. They've got some totes. Mine says, sounds gay, I'm in. So I love that. If you go to their website right now for a limited time, there is a coupon code for our listeners, Drive Home 10, and you'll get 10% your entire order. So that's pridecoffeeroasters.com. And Kirk Bankstead posted today that he really wants us to come up to Minocqua, not just Madison, but go all the way to Minocqua and come to one of his beer tastings. It seems like he's in an area where I might be vulnerable because of my last name. Not for nothing, but it's very strange now, Lady B. When you're in public, does your radar go up for other people when you hear them speaking Spanish, like a family speaking Spanish? Are you getting nervous at all out there? A little bit. I think you set up the microphone for me today. Thank you very much.
Lately, I have.
Yeah, today. I was out today.
Before I didn't.
No, never.
Right. This is the first time maybe since all this incident with Trump being in office, yes.
Yeah, I see people speaking Spanish and I'm like, I don't know if I would do that. There was a young man in Florida who was detained by ICE agents, allegedly, because they were all in masks. Who knows? He's 18 years. He kept telling them, I was born here. I was raised here. He has maybe he has an accent. I don't know if that was why they picked him up or he was speaking Spanish. And they told him, and he happened to record it, they told him, you have no rights, which is not accurate, everybody. Everyone on American soil has the right to due process. I don't know how many times I got to say this to you. Oh, it's so frustrating. At any rate, that's not why I'm not going to Minocqua. It's just really far. Also, I'm not that afraid. I'm not that afraid, but it's very far. It's like a 7-hour drive, and I just don't have that kind of time these days. So go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and find out. Maybe you want to drive through and have a beer tasting because it looks amazing. It looks like a beautiful part of the country, and go support one of the best progressive companies in Wisconsin. And by best, I mean he is putting it all on the line. And I know that to a lot of people, he's impulsive. I agree he is. But we get to have our own flamethrowers too. If you don't, I'm just saying. And the beer, oh, it's so good. My favorite, I have to say, it's the Tammy Shandy. I also like their Labor Lager, just to name a couple. And you can also pick up some of their great swag. Like I hate Wisconsin Nazis. It's very similar to with the Blues Brothers image there. Very similar to I hate the Illinois Nazis. So go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com and please subscribe to their newsletter. Maybe subscribe to the Minocqua Brewing Company Substack, where you can see my columns every Monday, Mocha Monday. This week's is about Trump's trip to Scotland, where I kind of shared my darkest fears about how basically we've told the entire world that every 4 years we might elect somebody who is a selfish authoritarian, and maybe they shouldn't trust us. And that's hard to imagine how we're going to build that trust globally over the next few decades. So go to MinacoBrewingCompany.com, and if you order some woke coffee, that supports the work that I do there. And the woke coffee is so good. You get it in a can. They also have they have beans as well, but that in a can, it's so convenient. You put it over some ice with a little bit of cream. Maybe if it's later in the day and you're trying to have a little bit of both. I'm just saying you can, Irish it up. That's all I'm saying. And last but not least, of course, our friends at Kids Above All. Go to kidsaboveall.org. They are having their backpack drive right now. And a lot of these kids have survived trauma. They've been perhaps separated from their families. Some of them are living in group homes, foster care. Send them to school with new supplies for the school year, you guys. That's one of the favorite memories that we all have, is having those new notebooks and pencils and pens and markers and all the bags and the backpack. So go to kidsaboveall.org and see how you can contribute to their backpack drive going on right now. Okay, so Trump is coming back, I guess, or he's back. I don't know. I don't try to keep track of him. Man, listening to Joan talk to her guests about the economy and the Fed and how much money is being pumped into the economy and what to watch out for. And then the guest before that talking about prices. And I've thought that for a while about how once prices got to a certain level, whether it was because of the pandemic and supply chain issues or price gouging, is that they're not going to bring them back down. They want to make sure that their stakeholders keep getting the profits that they're used to. That the profits, that's the whole game for them. It is not functional capitalism right now when you have, I don't know, a handful of companies that own every single brand out there, right? This is not sustainable. I think he used the number, I think he said that 10% of the wealthiest own 90% of the stock market. Take that in. It's insane. And they are trying to make it worse. These Peter Thiels, these Curtis Yarvises, the J.D. Vances, I do think, it seems to me that they want to destabilize our systems, to destroy the way government has functioned since FDR, in the sense that the intention has been that when these greedy billionaires, these corporations continue to take advantage of the workers should at least have access to the safety net, to hospitals, to education, to Social Security. And they want to destroy all that so that we are just at the whims of whatever they give us, so that we will be grateful for the crumbs. Just saying. And then today, and this whole Epstein thing, the madness of it, I believe there's a committee today that denied Ghislaine Maxwell's request for immunity in order to appear in front of them. And the fact that he is dangling it, Trump and his lawyer seem to be dangling the offer of a pardon or whatever. And yesterday, I believe he said that if his name is there, right before his name's not on it, then the list doesn't exist. But if the list does exist, it was created by Obama and Hillary and Biden. And if his name is in there, they planted it. But is it? But today, he said that and yesterday, if you didn't catch this, he was talking about all the people who he thinks went to the island, because apparently he's been told about this information, because he was told in May that there were files, that there was a list, and there's so many dots, they're all over the place. It's like a polka dot dress that I don't wear anymore, that I have at home. But at any rate, he said yesterday he never had. Some of you know what the rest of this phrase, the sentence is. He never had the pleasure of going to the pedophile island. He didn't say pedophile island. He said he didn't have the pleasure of going to that. He didn't have the pleasure. He did not have the pleasure. What? And then today, he said that the reason their friendship ended wasn't because of the creepiness, not because of the allegations of the pedophilia, but because he had taken some of the people that worked for him. And he said maybe one of the women who has for years been saying that she was sexually assaulted as a minor and committed suicide this year. It was me hitting the console. Okay, that seems like a good time to take a break. You know what? Let's turn our attention to comedy. We're going to talk about a comedy. I feel so. You know what? Let's. We need a palate cleanser. Lady B, how do you stay cool in this kind of? Is it just air conditioning? Do you?
Air conditioning.
And are you hydrating?
And hydrating.
I'm going to get up and get me some ice water right now. Do you have ice water back there?
Yes.
Okay. We are going to talk to our friends from the Windy City Comedy Festival in just a moment. And by the way, Dwayne Kennedy will be headlining one of these events. Dwayne is a headliner at the Windy City Comedy Fest taking place August 7th through 10th. And we'll talk to Ariel Julie in just a moment, founder and artistic director of the fest. More after this on WCPT 820 and KKNW 1150. I need some water.
You know that you can listen to Chicago's Progressive Talk on WCPT AM 820. Stream us live at WCPT820.com and on the TuneIn Radio app. Or you can ask Alexa, Siri, or Google to play WCPT from TuneIn. But now you have another option. We're simulcasting our programming overnights. 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. on WSBC AM 1240 for a clearer reception in and around the city. Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820. And now overnights on WSBC 1240 AM, where facts matter.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners. And we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreylawoffice.com. That's More spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
Before I hit our bumper, I do want to mention that I have enlisted the services of Tony Moret, and he is incredible. I've decided I need to start doing more, putting my money where my mouth is, too. So I've hired Tony Moret to help us with some estate planning. Just want to let you know, it went very well. Our first meeting was absolutely free, and it went so well, we decided to hire him. And here, let me hit my return.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
All right, everybody. We are so thrilled to welcome to the show Ariel Julie, the founder and artistic director of the Windy City Comedy Fest, taking place August 7th through the 10th. Ariel, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's a little bit of a steamy day. Are you hydrating?
Oh, yeah. Drinking a lot of water.
So tell me about yourself. Where'd you grow up, my friend?
Sure. I grew up in Vernon Hills, Illinois, about 45 minutes north of the city.
Okay.
And I started comedy about 6 years ago in the suburbs in Villa Park, Illinois. Ended up in the city doing comedy, and here we are.
Wow. Wow. Did you ever go to the Zanies in Vernon Hills?
Yes, I did when I was a little kid, and we saw. I cannot remember his name, but I know he was like a regular on All My Children.
He played Jackson Montgomery.
Yeah, right?
Yes, he played.
Yes, that was it.
Yep. Hold on. I'm trying to remember Jackson Montgomery's real name because I auditioned with him for a radio show on another station. But I used to be the MC there, and I was also a regular headliner there. So I'm excited that you saw Jackson Montgomery. He's super sweet and just as handsome in person. See? Well, and you remember how funny he was.
I will tell my mom.
Yeah.
My mom will be thrilled to know that.
Too funny. So tell me, where did the genesis of the Windy City Comedy Fest come from?
Sure. About a year and a half ago, maybe, I was talking to a friend. Her name is Karina Magyar. She's a great comic in Chicago as well. She used to run this great festival in Austin, Texas called Out of Bounds. And she was just telling me, like, the logistics of what it really took to make it happen. And I was just thinking, like, well, Chicago doesn't have a festival like that, and we never really have had a long-standing annual people can submit from around the country kind of festival. So I had been to quite a few. I was part of the festival in North Carolina and Portland, Oregon. I did a festival in San Antonio, and I was just like, I've done some of these. I've been in event planning in the past. I think I can do this.
Nice. Now that's crucial because we did have for 2 years we had one. Dan Carlson ran one, but that was in 1999 and 2000. So it has been about that long. I'm sure there's been something else, but I haven't seen. My favorite I've ever seen was Laugh Fest. I agree. Like we need a laugh festival. So a comedy festival. So I'm so grateful that you're doing this. So tell us about, first of all, tell us about the process that you went through to when you got submissions and how you vetted the comics that you've chosen for this festival.
Oh, sure. So we started with a fundraising show in August of last year at the Den Theater. We had Dwayne Kennedy and Junior Stopka headlining. They were absolutely hilarious and incredible. We raised enough money to get our website going so we could take submissions. So we advertised in Facebook groups and on Instagram, and I personally DM'd the link to the submissions to comics from around the country that I had worked with and met and told them to share it with people. And we ended up getting 500 submissions.
Amazing. That's fantastic.
Like shocking. So we had, it was a group of 15 judges, all comedians in Chicago, different ages, different years in the scenes, different ethnicities, different genders, different sexualities, different, just as diverse a panel as we could have. Everybody, and they were all anonymous, so the judges don't even know who the other judges are. And every judge got a group of like 100 to 105 videos. They scored all of their videos on 4 different categories on a scale from 1 to 4. And so every video was seen at least 3 times. Every video was scored, and then the averages of the scores were taken. The top 50 videos were chosen, and that's who's on the festival.
Outstanding. And again, this is such a great idea. I'm so thrilled. So tell us where this fest, what are the venues for this fest, and what kind of, are you doing only stand-up? Are you doing sketch? Are you doing a part film festival? What are the components of this?
So it's all stand-up comedy. It's our first year. I'm a stand-up. I know stand-ups. We kept it basic this year, so it's only stand-up. We might open it up in a couple years. I'm not sure yet. But for now, stand-up only. Thursday night, August 7th, our opening show is going to be at the Den Theater, 7 p.m., with headliner Luke Null, who is coming in from L.A., but he's originally from Chicago. He used to be on SNL. He's hysterically funny and the sweetest guy. So I'm so excited for that. We're going to bop over to IO Theater that Thursday night for a late show and then an after party. So anyone coming to that late show, it's at 10:30. Stay for the after party. There will be drinks. We have sponsors. Malort will be there. New Era Dispensary will be there. It's going to be a wild, fun night. Friday night will be at the Lincoln Lodge the whole night. So any show you come to at the Lincoln Lodge, it's going to be a festival show. It's going to be a great time. Every show is going to be amazing. The 8 p.m. show is another Dwayne Kennedy headlining show. So it's going to be hilarious. Saturday, oh my gosh, we're all over the place. We're at IO Theater. We're at the Annoyance Theater. We have a couple more shows at Lincoln Lodge. We have a show at Second City. That's a late night show. It's like 11 p.m. And then Sunday we'll be at Laugh Factory all day.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. By the way, everybody, Dwayne Kennedy will be guest co-hosting with us tomorrow, in part to promote his appearance in the Windy City Comedy Fest. And he and I will also be appearing soon as well. So I'm excited to hang out with him and talk about this festival some more. How do people get more information and to learn more about the comics? Because there's so many comics. You've got to I know there's short bios for everybody, but to give everybody a flavor of what to expect, where do they go?
Sure. Definitely for more information about the comedians, go to our Instagram. So that's just at Windy City Comedy Fest. We have different profiles on all the comics, and we have a list of all the comics, so they're super easy to find on social media. Everybody's Instagram handles are mentioned, so you can definitely find them. And then for more information about the shows, definitely go to our website, which is just windycitycomedyfest.com. Every show page will have a ticket link and a list of everybody who's performing on that show. So you've got all the info you're going to need at our website or our Instagram page.
Outstanding. Now, you mentioned that you had over 500 submissions from all over the place. What's the farthest comedian you have? Is there anyone coming internationally?
Canada.
Oh, Canada. There we go. Excellent. Yep. That's fantastic. So you've got comics from all over the country. I love that. And I don't have the fact that you've been to some of these festivals. One of the great things for the comics, it's like comedy camp for everybody. They get to get together with people they've never met before, or they don't get to hang out enough because they're always on the road, right?
Exactly. That's exactly the words I use as comedy camp, especially we've got workshops too. So like Friday, we're doing a business of comedy workshop at the Lincoln Lodge. Saturday, we've got a storytelling workshop for comics with Sean Flannery from Blackout Diaries. And then we'll have a physical comedy for stand-up workshop with Claire Parlett and Hunter Hirsch, who are hilarious physical comics in the scene. And then Sunday, the big kahuna, we've got the social media branding for comics panel with headliner Karen Cian. She's one of our headliners for the festival. We've also got Kristen Toomey on that panel. We have a talent agent in Chicago who's going to be a part of the panels. It's a pretty solid group. So what I really wanted, especially on that Saturday at I.O., comics can come in, get a free headshot, take some workshops, watch an early show, watch an afternoon show, go get dinner, network, hang out, go see more shows. I just want it to be like a fun, educational, and hilarious atmosphere the whole time.
So for the workshops, is that open to the public? Is that more for comics? How do people get involved with the workshops and register for those?
It is open. It's open to the public. So we were thinking about doing a ticket thing, but it's really great knowledge that we want to share with as many people as possible. So all of the workshop info is also on our website. The workshops are made as events within all of the show events, so everything goes in like chronological order. So if you just want to see what's happening Friday, it'll include the workshop and then all the shows. Saturday, it'll have the shows, the workshops, more shows. So you'll be able to find everything. For the workshops, we do ask that you register via the link. It's free to register. It just reserves your space. We will ask for a suggested donation because we are a nonprofit. So all of your donations go straight towards the festival next year, making it bigger, better, paying videographers, photographers, volunteers. So we will ask for donations, but you're not obligated.
Outstanding. And again, go to WindyCityComedyFest.com as well as Windy City Comedy Fest on all the Instagram, on all the social medias. And Instagram, they've got great images. Is this somebody you did a great job on promoting this too? I can tell it looks great.
Thank you.
And a lot
Can
of
I
fantastic.
shout out?
Yep.
Can I shout out our social media manager, Rebecca Joey Schwab, who did all of the marketing, all of the graphics, all the social media. She is a rock star.
Excellent. Well done. So what's her website for folks who want to hire her?
Oh my God. DM her on Instagram, Rebecca Joey Schwab. Schwab, I'm so sorry, SCHWAB. She actually is looking for some full-time work. So please reach out to her. She is amazing.
Rebecca Julie Schwab says the comedian.
Sorry.
What was that?
Joey Schwab.
Jody Schwab says a comedian. I might have some work for her myself. So this is good connecting. I love it. Thank you so much. I wish you the best. And you know what? Let's check in if you want again next week as we get closer. Maybe on the Wednesday if we have time. I'd love to get just so people are reminded because a week and a half out is great and closer is even better too to give that extra nudge. Sound good?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Patty.
My pleasure. Go get them. Have fun. And congratulations on your inaugural Comedy Fest. It's really exciting. And we definitely are overdue for a Comedy Fest here. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Bye. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk to Heidi Stevens. Columnist Heidi Stevens will join us, and we'll talk about the latest pieces she's written for the Chicago Tribune, as well as the OpEd Project and other work that she's doing. More in a moment on WCPT 820. Oh, and there's news out of the Tribune again. Man, it is not. More after this on WCPT 820 and KKNW 1150.
You are listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. A few isolated thunderstorms possible early tonight, otherwise partly cloudy with a low of 74 degrees. Wednesday, chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 78 and northeast winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Thursday, we'll see a chance of thunderstorms with a high of 72. On Friday, lots of sun with a high temperature of 73. Saturday, sunshine with a high temperature around 75 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 91.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter. Think Theory Radio.
I'm very privileged to have on a special guest, Tim Ains.
We put together a team of experienced investigators. There's certain things that happen to abductees that they all talk about. And people have seen stuff, things like missing time, or they might have marks on their body. And it's interesting when somebody in India and somebody in Des Plaines, Illinois, and somebody in Fiji all have the same mark.
Think Theory Radio with Damian Perdue. Saturdays at 6 p.m. on WCPT 820.
If you're looking to purchase a loved one's home after they passed away, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Pam wanted to purchase her grandmother's $400,000 home after she passed away, which was left to Pam's father, Ted, and her Aunt Betty. Ted listens to my show and wanted to forego his half of the equity of his mom's home and sell Pam the home for $200,000. Bad move. I recommended Pam purchase the home for $400,000 and get a gift of equity from her father, Ted, for $200,000. Which enabled Pam to purchase the home with a lower rate and no money out of her pocket. Let's review. I helped Pam purchase her grandmother's home without having to bring a penny to the closing and secure a lower rate. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
From city streets to political beats, you're driving it home with Patti Vasquez, where progressive talk fuels the ride.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. I'm thrilled to welcome back to the show syndicated columnist Heidi Stevens. To the show, Heidi, how are you doing? How are you? Let me put it this way: are you hydrating? Hi.
The Patti question. I'm hydrating.
Yeah.
Do I have to tell you what I'm hydrating with, or
Nope.
is it enough that I'm hydrating?
No, just enough that you're hydrating. Everything is every sip is look. Even if it's a diuretic or an alcoholic beverage, all of it. It's I mean coffee has water, booze has water, iced tea. These are all things are fun.
Okay. Yep. And then answer is yes.
Now, do you run in this weather? I mean, I guess in the morning it's not as bad, but do you go running in this weather?
I do. I don't love it. I'm not going to lie. I'd rather run in the dead of winter than this heat. But I go early in the morning, and I jump in the lake. I usually run to 12th Street Beach, and then I just go in right in my running clothes. And then sometimes I run home, sometimes I walk home. But that's kind of my summer running hack is just like jump in the lake, man.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I used to work at North Avenue Beach. I think I've mentioned this before to you, and I know my audience knows. I hate running so much. Every time I go running, I want to go stopping. I just want to know when I'm done. Uh-huh. I want to be done almost immediately.
Do you say I want to go stopping?
Yes.
I love that.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite jokes I've ever written, and it doesn't do that well on a stage because it's just like it's so short. Yeah, but at any rate, I actually when I know I need to do some cardio, what I do is I walk in the shade and run in the sun. Do you know what I'm saying? So like wherever I am, because I usually just do it in the neighborhood. So I run to the shade so I can cool off, and I walk as slowly as possible. Not as slowly, but so I do sprints. I do like sort of alternating that way.
That's good.
If I did
Interval training.
Interval. I knew there was a word for it. I'm trying to get back in shape, but I still don't think that running is going to be my future. At any rate, that's some people's jam. It's how they meditate sometimes. Is that part of your getting through all of this? Do you work through a lot of that?
Yeah, it's totally my it's my therapy, it's my mental health, it's everything. Yeah, I haven't been a lifelong runner, but I've run for, I guess, maybe 15 years as my main source of exercise, just because it's cheap and it's fast.
Sure.
And you can do it anywhere. And then a couple of years ago, decided to run the Chicago Marathon and train for that. And that really changed my whole headspace around running. And I started to just understand, the way that it kind of frames my day and gets me to the lake and reminds me that things are like beautiful and hopeful and things that have, and actually this segues into what I think we're going to talk about, is it connects me to the outdoors in a way that other exercise doesn't. And reminds me that, hey, that lake has been here for centuries and will be here for centuries after you're gone. And kind of reminds me that we're part of something bigger, but we're also pretty small in the grand scheme of things. Thoughts like that go through my head in a way that they don't at the gym. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I know this piece, right? I agree. I mean, when you're at the gym and whether it's looking at yourself in the mirror or what other people are doing, I was at the gym the other day, and the amount of young women who had like their long, sleek hair, like without in a ponytail. I'm like, what are we doing here? I'm in a baseball hat, braids, just like, sweating my butt off, and they're looking all pretty and pristine. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
No. That's not me when I run.
No,
I don't even brush my teeth. Like, roll out of bed, put the shoes on, go.
I hear you. So to your point about taking in what it means to be near this massive, beautiful body of water, being at the beach. I mean, one of the things I notice when I'm on Lakeshore Drive, because I worked at North Avenue, is the water levels. Right, we know that that's impacted by the environment. When I used to work there, I remember there was a summer they had opened the locks in Evanston, and when we swam, there was like sludge on our bodies. Like it was there. Yeah. And there's a lot that goes into trying to protect our environment, and we are now in a moment, and I don't think people understand that the EPA was created under the Nixon administration. So this isn't like...
Yeah, it was a Republican initiative.
Yeah. And clean air and clean water should be just an American or a human goal, right? We want to be able to drink water from our from our lakes, from our rivers. Even if let's say it's our hunters, right? They want to have access to clean environments. Anyway, your piece. Talk to us about the piece that you've written recently.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's kind of stunning that it isn't a bipartisan issue. It's like education to me. Like, it's stunning that one's not a bipartisan issue as well, that both parties aren't screaming from the rooftops about abolishing the Department of Education, and how wrong-headed that is stunning to me. But yeah, in terms of like air pollution, water pollution, greenhouse gas emissions that are, scientifically proven for decades to contribute to the climate crisis that we're all living through. I mean, there shouldn't be 100 million people living under a heat warning. There shouldn't be 17 million people living under flash flood warnings. And yet that's what we're seeing, which is, those sorts of crises are part of what last week pushed the World Court to declare, climate change an urgent and existential threat. And they ruled, and this is the United Nations highest court, ruled that it is, it's the obligation under international law of countries to, work to get their greenhouse gas emissions under control and do their part to curb climate change. Unfortunately, at the exact same time, we have an administration that's working to undermine the science and whatever small amount of progress we have made around combating climate change. And they had I was reading one of those sort of like upside down world moments. I'm sure you have them all the time when you're researching your show or talking to guests. I was reading about that World Court ruling a minute after finishing the New York Times story about the new Trump administration EPA releasing this plan to rescind what's called the endangerment filing from 2009, which is what proves that greenhouse gases do, in fact, contribute to climate change. Mm-hmm. So they want to get rid of that finding, get rid of the science that proves what we know and what we're living through about climate change. Go back to letting tailpipe emissions go through the roof and sort of make pollution great again, which is why. I mean, I guess, so corporations don't have to, be regulated and can put profits over people and all the things. But it just is, it's such a shame. It's such an abdication of our responsibility to our children, to other nations, to humanity. It's depressing.
I don't know if you'll want to read this book because I'm having a hard time getting through it because it makes my chest hurt. But there's a book that Naomi Klein wrote a few years after Katrina called The Shock Doctrine: The Rise of Disaster Capitalism. And essentially, it's the economic shock therapy favors corporate interests while disadvantaging and disenfranchising citizens when they are too distracted and overwhelmed to respond or resist effectively. Meaning, the survivors of Katrina, the people who are on the floodplains, when we are overwhelmed, when our property is damaged. Even in the movie, this is so silly, but the movie Twisters, right? This recent remake or sequel or however you want to put it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the movie, but they even had an element of that. Spoiler, folks, but an element of these vulture capitalists coming in and offering people, pennies on the dollar for their properties in order to hold the and we're seeing a lot of that too. So it's in addition to what you're talking about is wanting to deny science. I think to your point about the Department of Education, when you have a population that no longer has critical thinking or is learning the sort of patterns of this kind of authoritarianism, it's terrifying. Is all I'm saying. It's all about
Correct.
things, Heidi.
And it's all connected, to your point. That's not, those are not disconnected strategies, right? Yep. A, they're strategies, B, they're connected strategies, And then, at the same time, speaking of distracting people, you have the president calling Rosie O'Donnell a threat to humanity, ignoring the actual threat to humanity, which is climate change, which is deemed by the World Court an existential and urgent threat, and then picking on a celebrity who moved to Ireland, but hurts his feelings, a threat to humanity, and now I'm going to prosecute Kamala Harris too, and Bruce Springsteen, throw him in there too. These are distractions, but they're also not beneath our. They shouldn't be beneath our radar. We should have our antenna up when the president of our country is threatening to strip citizenship from or prosecute people who criticize him. That's completely un-American. It's unconstitutional. It's the right to criticize our government is baked right into the First Amendment, constitutionally protected, held up in courts all sorts of times. It's alarming.
Yeah, it is alarming. I am constantly alarmed. We are hanging
out. I'm out of words.
We're hanging out with Heidi Stevens, nationally syndicated columnist. You can find is the best place at Chicago Tribune, and I know that you're in other publications as well.
Yeah, you can find me in print in the Tribune on Sundays and on ChicagoTribune.com. that's an easy way to find me.
Excellent. Let's take a break here, and also we'll talk about the OpEd Project, and that's opedproject.org. If you guys want to take a look at the work that she does with folks who might not otherwise have their voices heard and have traditionally not been platformed the way maybe perhaps I'm just saying white dudes is all I'm saying. Anyway, let's take a break here and continue our conversation in just a moment on WCPT 820 and KKNW 1150. We're hanging out with Heidi Stevens. We'll be right back.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversey Beer, Wine, and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine, and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly.
No detours, no distractions, just bold ideas and real talk. This is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are hanging out with Heidi Stevens, as she's a nationally syndicated columnist. You can catch her work at ChicagoTribune.com, where you became a contributor rather than part of. You used to be full time, correct, with the Tribune?
Yep, that's right. Yeah, I worked at the Chicago Tribune full time from 1998 to 2021. So I was there about 23 years, and I left when Alden Global Capital purchased the company and offered buyouts to all of us.
I think we just lost Heidi. I was wondering because we lost you there for a second. Hey, Heidi.
Oh, hey, sorry.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you were saying that that when Alden was offering buyouts, you did take that along with some other of your coworkers, I believe.
Yeah, a ton of us left at the same time, and almost all the opinion writers left at the same time. Mary Schmeek, Eric Thorne, Darlene Glanton, John Cass, a bunch of us left, along with a whole bunch of staff writers as well. So that was in 2021. Unfortunately, but I did sign a contract with Tribune Content Agency to still write my column once a week for the syndicate, which the Tribune runs. Unfortunately, the newsroom has continued to shrink since I left, and I'm sure you saw the headline, and I think you referenced it a couple minutes ago that they just laid off even more people last week.
Yeah, and this was after failed buyouts, right? Is that what this is basically like? Okay, well now we're just gonna start laying people off.
So my understanding, and of course I have to preface this with the fact that I have not been on staff there since 2021, but I still have friends there, and still hear the ins and outs. My understanding is that they did offer buyouts again this time. It was not a very appealing package, and very, very few people took it. In fact, I think the only person who took it was Ray Long, longtime phenomenal reporter. So I don't think they got the reduction of staff that they were maybe hoping for. And then last week they laid off 5 staffers, union staffers, and then a couple other non-union folks left as well. So I think they were estimating it was about a 10% reduction of force, and it was already, working on a bit of a skeleton crew. So that's a huge hit. It's a huge hit, and it's, personally, of course, I hate to see colleagues losing their jobs and this fantastic newspaper becoming a shell of itself. But it hurts Chicago. It hurts the Midwest when you have fewer eyes and ears covering the government, covering communities, talking to one another. There's been a little bit of, I don't know, I guess, hubris on social media, a little bit of like celebrating the demise by folks who thought the paper got too lefty or folks who hated the paper for staying too righty or whatever. But the point is, we're losing, as we lose newspapers, we're losing those spaces where, a collection of opinions from all different perspectives are come together and are presented to readers in one package. And I have my favorite outlets where I go to for analysis and voices and, places like you and Substacks that I like and all that. And there's tremendous value in that. And there's tremendous value in having places where there's sort of an established, agreed-upon set of facts in front of you, and then a variety of perspectives, right, left, middle, kind of analyzing it, discussing it all for you, all in the same publication. And it's a shame to see that going away and know that it's probably not coming back.
No, I remember when we were all moving out of the Tribune Tower, and I probably should send you some photos. Me and Scott Stantis and a couple other people went through. Did you ever go back and see when they had completely gutted the newsroom and what it looked like afterwards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have a great shot of Scott Stantis just looking so heartbroken. And I felt bad, too, because when I went to your new location, when you guys were, I believe it was One Prudential. And
Peru, yeah.
Yeah. And I walked in and I went, oh, Scott. Because I think he and Zorn were had like a ledge with like a monitor. Like it was an open plan where you.
Yeah.
It was so sad.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, super, super sterile. I mean, nice. There weren't roaches, which is a nice change.
Sure.
And they're
what happened?
Sterile compared to, like a beautiful newsroom with all kinds of history.
Yes.
And of course, then during COVID, we moved out of Peru and went to the Freedom Center and just had the newsroom in the same building where the presses were. And then now that's becoming a casino. I drove by it the other day on just an unrelated errand, and it's gone. Like the building's gone. I mean, I had like a whole body visceral, where tears just spring to your eyes and you're not even aware that you had that emotion.
Sure.
I don't know. It was, it just feels like such a loss. Such a loss.
Yeah. And I think it's a loss, that you feel personally, but also I think you feel for everyone when we talk about the decimation of journalism and holding people accountable. I mean, those quotes in the lobby of the Tribune Tower alone to remind us of why we all did the work that we were doing was
absolutely
important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Arthur Miller quote, "A great newspaper is a nation talking to itself." That's one of my favorite quotes. There's tons of stuff in those pages, especially the opinion pages, that I didn't agree with. I still felt smarter for having read most of what I read. I read.
Hey, look, you didn't say John Cass, but I will. Go ahead.
And you know what? And he would say the same of me, what we're giggling about right now. But the what's lost, and I'll say this because I'm still in the Tribune on Sundays, and Tribune readers still read me on Sundays, and I will get angry, vitriol-filled, name-calling email one Sunday about something I've written about politics. 2 Sundays later, from the same person, I'll get I hate everything you write. I hate your politics. I loved that piece you wrote Sunday about your friend's dad.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm not defending hate mail. I'm not defending one side or the other. I'm saying that we lose something when you don't have opposing viewpoints presented to people week after week. You know what I mean? And voices that they learn to hate read, but still read. And then, you know what? Someone reads me writing about my friend's dad's death and goes like, oh, okay, maybe liberals are a little human, you know, like that.
What?
Those moments happen. I know. Rare, but they happen.
Sure. What do you want folks to know about the OpEd Project, and how can they support the work you do there, that everyone does there?
Yeah, great question. OpEd Project is a really cool nonprofit that coaches folks who are underrepresented in public discourse. So on podcasts and newspapers, on all sorts of news sites, coaches them to write op-eds and get them published. And so I'm a fellowship coach there. So I coach fellows how to write and pitch op-eds. And it's if people want to visit the site and learn how to sign up, learn how to support, learn how to bring it to their organization. I think it's a really, really valuable service and worthy of support.
Excellent. So great to catch up with you, Heidi. I look forward to talking to you again in a few weeks. Everyone also can catch Heidi's work, the nationally syndicated columnist, Heidi Stevens, ChicagoTribune.com, and look for Heidi Stevens right there and on all their pages. I'll talk to you soon, and please take care of yourself. Please stay hydrated. I'll be thinking of you in the lake early in the mornings while I still am in bed doing other work.
while you're stopping.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go stopping. I'll enjoy stopping.
Love it.
Have a good night. Take care, Heidi.
All right, you too.
Bye. Let's take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk to our friend Rita Frost, and she's a forest advocate for the Natural Resources Defense Council. More after this on WCPT 820 and KKNW 1150.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have your phone first before the cab pulls away.
Hey, thanks, man. No, wait, my phone, come back! It's my boarding pass, credit cards, phone numbers, my life, come back!
Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Active Liver is the easy way to get a daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. Find Active Liver at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Details emerging about the man who carried out a mass shooting in a Manhattan office building yesterday. Julie Walker has the latest.
NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch says the gunman who killed 4 people, including an officer in a Manhattan building, was 27-year-old Shane Tamora, an overnight security guard at the Horseshoe, Las Vegas. He drove to New York in a BMW with guns and on Monday went on a killing spree at the Park Avenue building housing NFL headquarters before taking his own life.
A suicide note found in his possession at the scene spoke to a possible motive in the shooting and may explain why he targeted NFL headquarters. In that note, Mr. Tamora claimed to be suffering from CTE, possibly from playing high school football, and he blamed the NFL. He also writes, "Study my brain. I'm sorry."
Tamora, who played high school football in California, never made it to the NFL offices, instead going to the wrong floor. Tisch says detectives are going to Las Vegas to find out more about him and how he got the AR-style assault rifle. Julie Walker, New York.
Consumer confidence up a bit, says the Conference Board, though short-term expectations remain relatively low amid tariff concerns. Employers posted fewer job openings last month, a modest retreat for stocks today, and Ed Donahue reports sales are lagging at Starbucks.
Starbucks reported an increase in revenue for their third quarter, better than Wall Street expectations, but same-store sales fell by a bigger amount than what Wall Street was expecting. In hopes of turning things around next year, Starbucks is adding a cold foam protein drink, coconut water-based drinks, and improved baked goods to the menu. Starbucks is spending heavily on this turnaround. One big expense in the third quarter was a 2-day meeting in Las Vegas. The company hosted 14,000 store managers and regional leaders. I'm Ed Donahue.
This is AP News. In South Carolina, a call for a warning about a brain-eating amoeba.
2 weeks after 12-year-old Jason Carr spent the 4th of July swimming and riding on a boat, he was dead from an amoeba that lives in warm water and entered his brain through his nose. His parents had no clue the brain-eating amoeba even existed in Lake Murray, west of Columbia.
My son,
Clarence Carr,
if he had one warning, it would not have taken us to tell him this is a bad idea.
Jason fought for a week before dying on July 18th. That makes him one of about 160 people known to have died from the amoeba in the U.S. in the past 60 years.
There's still people on that lake.
Carr says no one from the city has reached out.
Nothing stating, hey, we're sorry this happened to you. We are investigating this.
I'm Haya Panjwani.
More news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. A few isolated thunderstorms possible early tonight, otherwise partly cloudy with a low of 74 degrees. Wednesday, chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 78 and northeast winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Thursday, we'll see a chance of thunderstorms with a high of 72. On Friday, lots of sun with a high temperature of 73. Saturday, sunshine with a high temperature around 75 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 91.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just
All text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I'm so grateful for all of our listeners, and even the hate listeners, Lady B. You know what? That's okay. On our Facebook page, on the Patti Vasquez Show page, you're helping drive up our numbers there as well. So please visit the Patti Vasquez Show page, where you will find information about all of our guests, all of our sponsors, because we are so lucky to have people who are committed to making sure these conversations happen. Thank you to our friends at Source Solar. Peter Sorellis and Warren Price will be joining me again next Thursday to talk about these incentives that you need to know about. If you've been on the fence, if you've wondered about getting solar panels on your house, please tune in or go to heartlandsignal.com, because our recent interview is there as well as a podcast, as are all of the podcasts, the shows that are available here on WCPT. And there's featured interviews, so we encourage you to visit. We also want to thank our friend. I'll go to source.solar, by the way, for more information about making an appointment with Peter Sorellis and find out if it's time to get solar panels on your house. We also want to thank our friends at Pride Coffee Roasters. Patty and Jackie, who recently celebrated their 12th wedding anniversary, are proud sponsors. I hope they're proud. I don't know. I haven't asked them how they feel about it. Peter's happy. I think Jackie's happy, and so is Patty. If you go to their website right now, pridecoffeeroasters.com, you can get a discount for a limited time. It's Drive Home 10 for 10% off your entire order. You can catch Pride Coffee Roasters exclusively at farmers markets this summer, and follow along to see where they'll be next at pridecoffeeroasters.com or all their social medias pages. And they also have some great swag. I myself have their Sounds Gay, I'm In tote bag. So go to pridecoffeeroasters.com OpEd.com. You can also get a Bean subscription while you're there. I want to thank our friends at Kids Above All. Go to kidsaboveall.org. Right now, they're in the middle of their backpack drive. A lot of these kids who I've worked with in the past with writing sessions and talking about getting through trauma and journaling and using humor. Some of the kids that I've worked with have lost a parent. They've been separated from their parents for whatever reason. Some of them are in foster homes, group homes. And one thing you can do to make them feel confident, to feel supported, to feel loved, is to help them get school supplies, because that is such a good feeling at the beginning of the school year. Go to kidsaboveall.org. And, of course, Minocqua Brewing Company, our biggest first sponsor from the almost the very beginning, Kirk Bangstead. I'm glad he's still sponsoring the show after all of the legal fees he's had with the fascists in Minocqua. Follow his adventures at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com or go to his Facebook page. And if you subscribe to his Substack, you'll catch my column every Monday. We do the Mocha Monday. And if you purchase some Woke coffee, that supports the work that I do there. And I'm so glad to welcome our guest to the show because we want to support the work that she does. Rita Frost joins us, forest advocate for the Natural Resources Defense Council. Hi, Rita. You must be very busy these days. How are you doing?
Yeah, I am great. I'm so happy to be on with you tonight.
Thank you so much. Now, I know that the Natural Resources Defense Council works to safeguard the earth. And this is interesting because we were just talking to Heidi Stevens about how precious our planet really is. And we don't necessarily think about it because whether we're busy or people just there's all different philosophies when it comes to our planet. So first of all, let me ask you this because I want to know your origin story. Where did you grow up, my friend?
I am from the South. I'm originally from Texas. I was born and raised in the hill country of Texas, down in the Austin area. That is where I actually grew up with my brothers. I grew up in the backyards, in the forest, around, getting my hair dirty, climbing up in trees.
Yes.
A really important role in my life, both now professionally, but also personally in who I am.
When did you know that this is the kind of life you wanted to have, was always having nature a part of your life and fighting for protecting our resources and our planet, our animals? When did that hit you?
Really early. I would say, not only is it part of my personal story, right? That is where I really learned how to play, and then how I connected with my brothers and my father. That's where he taught us how to hunt and fish. We went camping all the time. But then the experience of going to school and learning about some of the threats to those places that I love so much. Number one being climate change. Number two being a biodiversity crisis. Number three being an environmental justice crisis where our communities are facing public health problems, oftentimes because of how we pollute the planet. That combined with my own personal story and where I've drawn to and where I find a lot of peace brought me into the world of environmental advocacy.
It's amazing because, I think people think of Chicago as being this urban area, and yet we have access to so many beautiful parks and forest preserves. I was just driving on the North Shore, like in Glencoe. I forgot how beautiful it is up there. And then driving up to Wisconsin. Of course, we have listeners across the country. In particular, we have listeners on KTNF AM 950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul, as well as our friends in Seattle on 1150 KKNW. We really, everybody is within a striking distance of being able to partake in nature. Aren't we?
Yeah, you know what? You're putting it right. It doesn't matter if you're urban or you're rural. Nature should not be a luxury. Right. It should be a right.
Yes.
There's a critical reason why our forefathers created places like public forests, right? Because they recognize the diverse array of public benefits they provide us, including not only these cultural benefits that we're talking about right now, but also supporting healthy waters and an environment that we all depend on. Also providing a lot of economic benefits for local communities. So you're right on the money there.
So there have been, under this administration, a much more aggressive approach to our natural resources. Tell us about the executive orders that could really decimate our forests in our country.
Yeah, so just backing up one step about me and my role. Yes. I'm on the forest team, right, with NRDC, and the reason why NRDC works to protect forests we have a large swath of work, right, but we also work specifically to protect forests because of their critical role in sustaining life on our planet, as well as forests' inextricable role in human health and well-being. U.S. forests alone sequester more than 50 billion tons of carbon annually. They're also home to more than 80% of terrestrial plants, animals, and fungi. Despite all these wonderful benefits, forests are under threat, particularly by this administration. Since President Trump took office for the second time, he signed 3 executive orders that could lead to broader destruction of U.S. forests. 1, an immediate expansion of American timber production. 2, a USDA emergency memo which calls for opening up 112 million acres of public lands for commercial logging. 3, the repeal of the roadless rule, which could open up an additional 58 to 112 million acres of national forest to industrial logging and road building. These so-called emergencies have no meaningful scientific basis. They are merely a tool to fast-track logging over nearly 60% of U.S. national forests. And the way that we're viewing it is that the Trump administration is attempting to dismantle long-standing environmental protections and pave the way for logging and development, including for an area that I work on and work to advocate against, which is biomass energy.
Man, that was a very swift movement that they made in order to sort of to attack our natural resources, weren't they?
Yeah, it was quick and it's really unnecessary. As I said, we get far more benefits from our forests than products. You know, just the things that we can sell them for dollars and cents. And one of those most egregious products, that I really want to dive into with you is about this biomass industry. So one of the industries that is really chomping at the bit to get their hands on our forests and exploit these policies from President Trump for their own economic gain is the wood pellet biomass industry, also known as the bioenergy industry. This industry has been established in the United States Southeast for the most part for about the past 15 years. NRDC works with our close partner on the ground. They're called Dogwood Alliance out in the southeastern United States to protect forests and the communities that depend on them against the voracious appetite of this industry. The industry comes in, they chop down American forests, they grind them down into these very small pellets. They almost look like rabbit food. They're tiny. They place them on ships, and then they export them halfway across the world so that somebody in the United Kingdom or the European Union can turn on their lights or charge their iPhone. The reason why they're doing this is that those governments erroneously classify burning our forests as renewable energy, and they subsidize it very heavily. So this industry is looking at Trump's policies, and they're looking at the market demand in foreign markets such as the United Kingdom and the EU, and they say, whoa, this is a way that we can ramp up our production. And NRDC and Dogwood Alliance are here trying to dog them every step of the way to make sure that they don't get their hands on more American forests, because the last thing that we should be doing with our forests is chopping them up and burning them as fuel, almost like the fuel of the caveman.
Man, so I think there are a lot of people in our audience listening right now going, I'm sorry, what? They're grinding them up into pellets in order to as under the premise of being renewable energy, when obviously and clearly it's not renewable. How long has this been? I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing about grinding up our forest for charging phones in England.
I know. It's quite baffling, right? I mean, I talked to a wide variety of audiences, from fifth graders up all the way to policymakers in the halls of Parliament. And you know what? It doesn't really take much more than the education of being a fifth grader or even a 5-year-old to say, hey, if we chop down this tree and burn it in a power station, would you call that renewable energy? And they quickly say, well, heck no, that tree's going to take a lot longer to grow back than it takes to burn that tree up. And that's what we should be classifying as renewable energy, right? That's why we consider solar and wind power to be true renewable energies, because we're getting carbon dioxide benefits from them. One of the best things that we could do in relation to forests and the climate crisis, instead of burning them, would be to allow them to grow, because they sequester and store carbon better than almost any other natural system on this planet. So this industry has been around for about 15 years or so. The main player is a company called Drax. They are a corporate giant based in the United Kingdom, and since 2013, Drax has not only been burning American forests and their power stations in the United Kingdom, but they've also been the producer of pellets. So they have a number of these wood pellet mills in the southeastern United States themselves. Since 2013, Drax has received billions of dollars in subsidies. Last year alone, the company received over $1 billion in subsidies to produce power. Now, again, that's renewable energy. Think about how much more solar and wind power the United Kingdom could have if they weren't wasting it on biomass energy. So this industry is really insatiable. We're worried that they want to expand their production as well as gobble up subsidies for other false climate solutions across the United States. Right now, they're kind of eyeing the states of California, Washington. We see them wanting to expand in Louisiana and Mississippi. And so it's really time to raise the alarm against them.
Okay, I am alarmed. We are. Do you have time to stay with us for another segment, my friend? Rita?
Sure. I'm happy to stay with you as long as you want.
We're doing another segment with Rita Frost, forest advocate for the Natural Resources Defense Council, and our DC works to safeguard the earth, its people, its plants and animals, and the natural systems on which all life depends. I'm just saying, it seems important, folks. And I also want to let folks know about what one of the things that Rita mentioned, dogwoodalliance.org. Go to dogwoodalliance.org, which is an amazing page you guys have they've put together to inform us on some of the issues that you've talked about, including environmental justice. And I want to talk about more on this issue, as well as something I think a lot of people are talking about, which is AI and how that's also decimating our environment, and particularly in communities that have already been marginalized and disadvantaged as well. Sound good?
Sounds great.
I mean, it doesn't sound good, but I mean, does it sound okay if we talk about it?
Sounds good to chat about it,
yes.
Right? That's what I'm all about. Let's talk about it so people can get educated.
Yes, please. Again, we're talking to Rita Frost. More in a moment on WCPT 820 and KKNW 1150 and in AM 950. All the places. Thank you for joining us.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
For the 8th year in a row, Finland is the world's happiest country, according to the just-released 2025 World Happiness Report. The United States earned its lowest ranking yet, number 24. That said, the report did find people are generally kinder than you'd expect. One of the founding editors encouraged us to think of a stranger in the street as simply a friend you haven't met yet, and not somebody who poses a threat to you. Look, one thing we can all learn from Finland and its Nordic neighbors is to focus on the personal rather than the material. I remember my friend Deepak Chopra giving me similar advice many years ago. Turn the me upside down and make it we, he said, gesturing with his hands. Sure enough, strong social networks and positive views of the future are what ranks some of those countries at the top of the list. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have your phone first, before the cab pulls away.
Hey, thanks, man. No, wait, my phone! Come back! It's my boarding pass, credit cards, phone numbers, my life! Come back!
Checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Welcome back to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
You are joining us in the middle of a very important conversation. We are hanging out with Rita Frost, a forest advocate for the Natural Resources Defense Council. Rita, thank you for sticking with us for another segment, because a lot of folks are talking about AI. We know that a lot of billionaires around the world are intent on taking everything over, and for all the reasons. However, some of the things we've heard in the background, is a little. We're hearing that it takes its toll on the environment. What are the costs environmentally and to our communities when AI facilities are being built all over the country?
So I'm far from an AI expert, but what I do know is that due to the use of AI services, there is a growing demand for data centers. Yep. And data centers are really competing for space, both in our urban areas, and they're starting also to move into more green spaces. So that company Drax that I mentioned earlier as being one of the biggest wood pellet producers in the world, as well as one of the biggest bioenergy producers, they want to use their wood pellet operations to support this AI boom. This would threaten more forests for building and powering these data centers, something we're very concerned about. I think even more than just AI is that we're also worried that Drax might position themselves to get U.S. subsidies in other ways to reinvent themselves. Essentially, Drax just seems to be looking at President Trump's policies and saying, hey, where can we get handouts as this big corporate entity? One of the places where they're looking is actually with these carbon capture and sequestration projects, which combined with bioenergy oftentimes gets shortened to BECCS. It involves taking the carbon that is produced from creating wood pellets and then pumping it underground to be stored. Now, BECCS facilities, as well as producing any sort of renewable energy from burning wood pellets, has never proven to be true. It seems more like a unicorn than something that you could actually find out in the real world. But, whether I'm talking about it being a unicorn or whether it's BECCS that they want to use or whether they want to power AI and data.
I lost you for a second. You're there. I hear you. Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, great. We're still here together. One of the craziest things that I keep coming back to is that if we're talking about the best process for, again, helping the planet, is if the best thing that this company has come up with is cutting down a tree, burning that tree, trying to capture the carbon of the smokestack, and then storing it underground, haven't we just reinvented what the tree was doing in the first place and made it a lot more expensive? This project that they're forwarding is called Elimini, and it's based out of my home state of Texas in Houston. Again, these are subsidies that Drax is trying to get from the Trump administration, but we are here to advocate against that handout. It should not be a use of our own taxpayer money.
No doubt. And I know that a lot of the work that you do is in the area of forestry. I started hiking in our forest preserves in the Chicagoland area a few years ago, and part of it was I was just walking around the neighborhood. I really do live very close to the forest. I went to Girl Scout camp for 6 years, and I have to say, whenever I'm in the woods, it brings me back to being a kid. And I know a lot of what you've talked about is your connection with the forests, with nature as a child. But the reason I actually went into the forest more aggressively was I saw this guy one day, Rita, with a wheelbarrow. Like we have a lot of residential properties near the forest preserves, right? and I see him with a wheelbarrow, and I see him disappear into the woods. He was dumping like concrete, like stuff that he'd broken up in his yard and just dumping it in the forest. And I was like, what? I'm sorry, what's happening? And it's, I know, but like, and I know it's small compared to what we're talking about, but it is the sort of, the people treat our nature as though it's for their disposal in every way. I know. Believe me, the things I've seen in the forest now are shocking, and it's at such a small level compared to the work that you guys are doing. What can people do to get involved, to be informed, to advocate, to support the work that you're doing?
Yeah, I hope also that for every one of those guys who's dumping their litter in the forest, there are 10 hikers just like you who are out there to enjoy what it feels like to be a human in nature, right? Yes. Because humans and nature are not separate, but we are connected. And I think that there are far more people out there willing to stand up and protect that feeling that you have when you're in the forest and willing to speak for their forest and stand for their forest than there are that are willing to dump in their forests. But WCPT listeners can be part of the solution. All hope is not lost. We feel strongly that we can win this battle against the biomass industry, no matter how many times it reinvents itself. So sign up for action alerts from NRDC as well as Dogwood Alliance. We'll really let you know when key moments arise. These moments will be time for you to reach out to policymakers and call for them to deny these subsidies that Drax so desperately wants. And then secondly, show Patti some love and share this interview. We really need more people to be aware of this issue. We are so grateful to be able to speak about it to your listeners. And we want to make Drax this household name, make sure lawmakers know we don't support the problems it's causing in our country.
By the way, I just got a text from a listener who said Rita is a really articulate guest, very good communicator. She's not paying me to say this, by the way. And they're a regular texter, so I know that. I think that's what's so hard. And we've been talking about this for the last day or so about, the volume at which the people who want to destroy our forests have been able to get their message out, whether it's on radio and other forms of media and television. And you showing up and sharing the story really makes a difference. Your passion is obvious and important. And we want to make sure that we support the work that you do. I would love to have you on as regularly. We check in if there's anything that comes up that you need people to be alerted to. If there's an action that we want to call for folks to be a part of, we'd love to do that. Is there anything coming up that we can be? I know that you mentioned some of the actions and talking to legislators and things like that, but let us know if there's anything coming up that we should be aware of.
I will absolutely tune you in. I'm so grateful for that invite. My door is also open to you. It's great to know that there are folks out there that want to hear about the majesty of their forests and what they can do to protect them. So I'm all for that, and let's keep working together.
If I get your phone number, I know I have your phone number, but if I start texting you directly, you're like, okay, Pat, I get it. You're hiking. We get it. It's pretty today. Yes, you saw a bird. Yes, the deer there we got. I do too. I do. I'm dazzled all the time.
That's something that is a part of my regular texting conversations. Hey, what did you see nature do today, and how did you feel connected to it?
Yeah. Oh my God. We can make that a segment. What did you see nature do today? What does nature do to you today? No, that sounds aggressive. I'll figure something out. I need to do a regular nature segment with you, Rita. I'm in love. I appreciate the work that you do, and we are here to support you in every single way we can. Folks, go to nrdc.org. That's N as in Nancy, R as in ridiculous, because that's what Trump is. My words, not hers. Dumb as in that's what Trump is, not her words either. C as well. I don't want to say that word, but go to nrdc.org and learn about the great work that they do. Thank you so much, Rita. I wish you a wonderful evening, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you, Patti. Keeping a force for the future and for our nature. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Talk to you. Have a good night. Cheers.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Let's take a break here. We'll take your phone calls when we come back. I know that we had the phone lines kind of tied up for a little bit because it was a busy show. We're grateful that you want to talk to me now. Talk to everybody on WCPT, KKNW, and KTNF. More in a moment.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. A few isolated thunderstorms possible early tonight, otherwise partly cloudy with a low of 74 degrees. Wednesday, chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 78 and northeast winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Thursday, we'll see a chance of thunderstorms with a high of 72. On Friday, lots of sun with a high temperature of 73. Saturday, sunshine with a high temperature around 75 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 91.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Back to school is on the brain. That means new notebooks, pencils, new everything. And while the kids are getting ready to get book smart, it's time for you to save smart with Straight Talk Wireless. Switch now and get a free Moto G 2025 with 5G when you activate select plans. Now that's a smart call. Get Straight Talk covered by Verizon's 5G network. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Offer valid through 10/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Purchase of gold unlimited plan or higher required for offer. Must activate the plan in-store at Walmart. Cannot be combined with other offers.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
As a veteran, you get a lot of advice, but wisdom's harder to come by. A lot of people imagine themselves in our shoes without understanding the weight on our shoulders. The truth is, few can understand the pressure of finding your own way after serving in the military. But few isn't none. Steady yourself. You're not alone. You've got support. Learn more at maketheconnection.net.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
He's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Yes, I haven't been able to get to our Credo Mobile phone or text line this show. I appreciate your patience, everybody. Credo Mobile, better for the planet and, of course, for people. Go to credomobile.com to learn more. Let me get to the text very quickly. Let me get to the most recent one because it's right on top of our conversation with Rita Frost from NRDC. I want to make sure that our texters are like Allison, who asked, can you please tell me the name of the organizations that Rita talked about so that I can follow? So, yes, one is the organization that she's an advocate for the Natural Resources Defense Council. So she works for the Natural Resources Defense Council. That's NRDC. And you can go to nrdc.org and you'll get a bunch of tabs there. And the other organization she talked about was the Dogwood Alliance. Again, that's Dogwood Alliance, as in dogwoodalliance.org, and both great websites, a lot of resources for you to learn more about the work that they do and how you can get involved, and tremendous work that they're doing. And I also let me get to a couple more texts. We've had a lot of conversations over the last hour and a half or so. This one I definitely want to get to. So I am going to try not to cry. I grew up loving baseball. My father was somebody who just absolutely was obsessed, consumed by all the stats of every single player on every single team across the country, across decades, going all the way back to the late 1800s, like the Delahanty brothers, right? I mean, Ed Delahanty, who fell off a train because maybe he'd had too much drink or maybe he was having an affair with somebody's wife, was allegedly fell off a train in the late 1800s. That's how far back some of my knowledge goes. Ty Cobb, Tris Speaker, Shoeless Joe Jackson, all the ones, Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, all the ball players. I'm skipping a lot of decades to get to when I was a child. First of all, I think I've talked about this before. My father eventually, first as a child, would sneak out of school. He would cut school. I mean, we're talking young. 8, 9, 10 years old. The last time he snuck out to go to a Cubs game, he was 10 years old. He would sneak out of school. He would get on the trolley. He would sneak on the trolley, by the way. He would not pay his fare. And then he would sneak into Wrigley. My dad grew up during the Great Depression, but he was absolutely obsessed with the Chicago Cubs. My favorite story was my dad was on the trolley after he'd cut school and ran into the priest of his parish, Father Coffey, who asked my father why he was on the trolley, where he was going, and wanted to know because he knew my father did not have money. And my father confessed to the priest that he had snuck out of school, had snuck on the trolley, and the priest asked how he was planning to pay for the game. And Father Coffey paid the trolley and then took my dad to the Cubs game and paid for a hot dog and whatever they drank. And then Father Coffey told him to never do that again, but Father Coffey was also a huge Cubs fan. And however, my father, at the age of 10, asked a ball player for his autograph, at which point the ball player used a word. Then my father went home and asked his mother what that meant, and she washed his mouth out with soap or whatever. It changed. It was either soap or hit him with a broom. I can't remember because he changed it sometimes. He hated the Cubs for the rest of his life until the last few months of his life. He was watching the Cubs and said, hey, they're looking good this year. But he had a standing bet for decades that they would not finish over 500. He had $25 standing bet with friends of his, and he often won. In the meantime, I grew up, regardless of my dad's predilections to like other teams. He liked the Colorado Rockies. He loved the White Sox. He loved the history of the Chicago Black Sox. I know a lot about Shoeless Joe, and the questionable throw from the outfield to home plate was one of the things that they pointed to as far as taking money to throw the game. And but by the way, his batting average, I believe, was .375 during the World Series of 1919. Neither here nor there. What I'm saying is I was absolutely obsessed with baseball as a child, and one of my favorite ball players of all time was Ryne Sandberg, and watching him being in the stands, he was so enthusiastic about the game. He was such a leader. I had the pleasure of meeting him when the Cubs won the World Series. He came to Springfield along with the team with the trophy. I got to meet him. I got to touch the trophy. I have a selfie with him. I haven't dug it up because I don't need to be that girl. I'm telling you the story of how much I love baseball, and I think how much Chicago wanted the World Series, not just with him, but whether it was Sutcliffe and I'm trying to think of all the players, the Sarge. I'm trying to think of all the players that played along with Ryne Sandberg, but that was a team that we all not only cheered but worshipped. But Ryne Sandberg, truly one of Chicago's greats, one of Chicago's very own, and we mourn the loss of Ryne Sandberg today as he passed away yesterday. I know that he'd been battling cancer. I believe he passed away at the age of 60. In his mid-60s, 64 or 65. All I know is I saw the head. It's one of those moments where you go, there are people in your life, these public personalities who just capture our imaginations. And Ryne Sandberg, Rhino was certainly one of them. And since I'm already in my feels, let's just keep going down. Just one more thing. I'm going to cut out in a few moments. I'm going to take phone calls. However, it is my son's 20th birthday. Declan turns 20 today, and he is my family's joy. They did not think he was going to survive when he was born. Many of you know that my son has battled a lot of health issues. He has a lot of challenges physically and intellectually, but he always shows up. He's not mad. You know what's funny? I think for our kids, Lady B, I don't know if you feel this, they're not mad at their situation. Right? We're the ones that other people feel sorry for them. We wish more for them. They as long as they are safe and are happy, that's the whole world. And my 20-year-old son, who loves music, who loves to laugh and to be tickled, who loves his being around his family and to watch the tree leaves blowing in the wind, that delights him. And so I'm going to leave a little bit early with a pre-recorded interview in just a little bit. But first, I will take phone calls because some folks have been trying to call for a while. Let's get to Jim in Chicago. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Bobby Jenks, unhittable in 2005, and Lee Ely, my favorite manager of all time. That's the greatest rant I ever heard in my life from a manager when he told the Cub fans up. But remember, the Republican Party's thrown nature overboard forever. But you're going to Gay Prairie, right? Well, when you go there, think of Lafayette. Try to find out. And anything you can on him because he fought in our first Civil War and was Washington, like a foster son to George Washington. But what he couldn't understand was slavery and treating the Native Americans the way that we did. And he always broached the subject of Washington. Why don't you let these slaves, they're good carpenters, they're good planters, they're good carpenters, they're good blacksmiths, and everything. There's plenty of land. Why don't you let them go with everybody's created equal, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness? Why don't you go with that?
Yeah.
He begged them for years until he died in, my God, it was, I don't know, 15, 20 years after the Civil War. But remember that, we've never had that, especially America. America's a land of immigrants.
Yep.
And not only that, but to categorize people in America, especially American of immigrants, we categorize people: man, woman, gay, straight, black, white, Hispanic, and all this other nonsense. When we're Americans, we're all Americans here. And it's frustrating to even hear that. And they have, it's a money-making scheme. That's why Washington couldn't get rid of slavery, because any money-making scheme, nobody's going to get rid of it, Patty.
Sure.
On.
If you don't have to do the work, if you can get it done for cheap and reap the benefits and the wealth.
Yeah, but they were worth a lot of money. Remember, Robert E. Lee married George Washington's granddaughter, and for her dowry, she brought 200 of Washington's slaves with her. And they were worth, in 1859, let's say, before the Civil War, a female was worth $850, and a male was worth about $1,250. But the point was, only about 6% of the nation could afford those slaves. But they were going to give them up, just like they're not going to give up this fight against the environment. The fossil fuel industry is going to fight to the last dog is hung. They don't care how many people die of climate exchange money, because they won't give up on a money-making scheme. It's just that simple. It takes forever.
And that's, by the way, that is part of the role of government, is for those who would take advantage of others, is to protect the rest of us who are trying to get by in life and playing by the rules. And that is a function, I think, that we are losing sight of because the powerful, the wealthy are taking advantage of it.
Look at this group. Look at this group. I mean, all they're interested in is money. Yeah, that's all. I mean, Trump, he's got an insatiable need for money. That Maxwell had an insatiable need for money and flesh, which is really strange. They have that combination. Flesh and money. That's all they were concerned about. I mean, her father was the same as Rupert Murdoch. He was, he dealt in scandal and the broadsheets in London, and they were involved with the family. Look at Prince Andrew, the woman that committed suicide. She sued him for an undisclosed amount of money. Some young girl that was underage. I mean, these people are just, I don't know, what do you call them? And these are the people that I looked up to that we're supposed to vote for? How they voted for Trump, I still never can figure that out. Anyway, Patty.
Thanks.
Thank you, dear. Thank you much.
Thanks, Jim. Have a good night. Take care. Let's take a break here. We'll take some more phone calls when we come back. I don't know. Maybe we take phone calls because folks didn't have a chance to call during the whole show. Let's see what happens. But we definitely have a couple phone calls on hold. More after this on WCPT 820, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950.
The family meeting.
There's a practical use to social media. And I know it's hard to watch some of the garbage that comes across, the silly videos, and you don't want everybody to tell you every little thing they're doing in their life. I don't care about your you eating the pizza. I don't care about that.
But it's no different than opening up a newspaper or a magazine and going, well, that article I'm not interested in. That article I'm not interested in. I'm interested in one.
Or thumbs down or whatever you do to it so it doesn't show up anymore.
Same thing.
But it's also an opportunity for you to spread the word, right?
Tune into the family meeting Sundays at 4. This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Donald Trump has implemented a barbaric anti-immigration policy with mass deportations and having ICE agents showing up unannounced at people's homes, workplaces, and anywhere they suspect, separating families, ruining lives, and deporting people without any due process. But one company is taking a stand against Donald Trump. Greyhound Bus Lines has implemented a no warrant, no boarding policy. This prohibits ICE agents to enter the vehicle without a warrant. Greyhound Bus says they want to guarantee the rights and civil liberties of their passengers. Greyhound Bus is the largest inner-city bus system in the U.S., with over 1,600 destinations. Maybe this will lead to more companies stepping up like Greyhound is. This has been WCPT telling you that you can shop blue.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
We need to speak out about this.
At 773-763-9278.
Hello.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Yes, hello. I think we had a caller from Michigan who might have dropped off. If you want to call back, I am going to leave the last segment for phone calls. We'll do we have some pre-recorded interviews that we'll get to. Including Lieutenant Governor Sarah Rodriguez, who is now running for governor. You know, it's funny. I probably should have run that yesterday because I think we were one of the first interviews she did. I know it was the first event where she was campaigning and meeting folks, but I don't want to leave folks hanging that have been on hold, including Paul in Seattle. Paul, what's on your mind, my friend?
Speaking of baseball, some people may have heard me say the Venezuelan senior Little League baseball team won the Latin League tournament and a ticket to the senior Little League baseball World Series in South Carolina.
Right.
But the Trump travel ban says nobody from Venezuela can come here. But it had a provision, an exception for athletes. Although the State Department, Marco Rubio, never told them why. This appeared in USA Today initially. I saw it on another internet website, but never told them why, and said that the permit or the visas are under review. The tournament started last Saturday, and it ends this Saturday. So apparently the review is going to be a little too late. I mean, what a bunch of petty idiots. And you know what? I think that if you heard me talking to Jones, the Olympics, we have to get rid of them. We can't have them here in 2028 because Donald Trump will do everything he can to make a trend of it to try and humiliate Gavin Newsom and just make it all about him and blame everybody else. The Olympics should be in some other country, American teams not invited.
Yeah. Did you call earlier and make the point about Jesse Owens and the Olympics? Was that, I can't remember. Someone made this point on someone's show earlier today about.
Well, that's what I said. I said even Hitler.
Yep. Yeah.
the racist Hitler didn't ban black athletes, and Jesse Owens came to Germany and kicked their living butts with 4 gold medals, the first ever to win 4 gold medals in track and field. And Hitler wouldn't congratulate him, but I'll tell you what, Hitler's doing better than Trump's doing now.
Yep. For children, for 13 to 16-year-olds who have competed for decades. Yep.
How petty is that? I really think it's time for, we deserve it. We deserve a whooping. Our athletes have to be shut out, and it's about time for the world to say, no, you're not welcome. If you're not going to play nice in the sandbox, then you're not going to play in the sandbox when it's in other people's house.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and I know that there are cases around the country, and the guy who runs the Department of ICE, whoever that is, I can't remember the guy's name. Holcomb? No, not Holcomb. What's the guy who?
John Holman.
Holman, right?
Holman.
So he has said that the only cause they need to detain somebody is appearances. If they look or sound Latino. And look, I get that the numbers are disproportionately people coming from my mother's home country of Mexico or Venezuela or El Salvador, or other places where people have dark skin and dark hair. We do have hundreds of thousands of people who are here illegally from Ireland, from Poland, from other places where they have light skin. They're not going after them, folks. So is it only illegal if you speak Spanish? Is that the only criteria? Is it?
Well, let me make this point because I heard you saying, I think at the beginning of the program, that these people are being told you have no rights.
You're right.
Excuse me, but it says on the INS Naturalization for Citizenship test that everybody has the right in the Bill of Rights. Everybody.
Yeah,
everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't say
doesn't apply to
citizen.
citizens.
Yeah, you might think it's implied, but your implication is your ignorance. That's all I can say, folks, to the hate listeners.
Yeah, they think that the Constitution was written for citizens. The Constitution was written as a restraint and restriction on the federal government. That's what it was written for. And it applies to everybody. It applies. The Bill of Rights, the first 8 amendments apply to everybody. Your right, your First Amendment rights to free speech. In fact, that's the question. What rights do you have in the First Amendment, even when you're not a citizen? And it's all of them in the First Amendment. You also have 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th Amendment rights. That is the right to privacy and your personal effects, your right to due process, and your right to jury trial in both civil and criminal cases.
Yeah. And by the way, for the hate listeners, for folks who are like, if you're not a citizen, you don't deserve due process, you don't deserve rights. How do you know that someone is here illegally unless you give them due process? It's really, truly the snake eating itself, Paul, is all I'm saying.
Well, that's true. Yeah. That's what they say. And I've heard, and I guess that somebody on Facebook was barking back at me because they heard the stuff. You mean all these people? You know how much that's going to cost? Oh, well, no, that's how about if we how about if we just start with you like that? The next time you get pulled over and arrested, all these people? I mean, I said, by your thing, why should we extend any due process to anybody who we think's committed a crime? Why should we get to whether or not you're a citizen anyway? Why should we even get there? What makes you eligible or for due process if we don't even know if you're a citizen? The fact is, we don't find that out first, whether or not you're a citizen. Oh, and then you get due process, because that's not relevant to whether or not you committed the offense.
Right.
And it can't be. And if it were ever introduced in court, your status, it would be thrown out because irrelevant evidence must be thrown out. And
right.
And even if you did that and a judge allowed it, and it was a quote illegal, they would have exactly that for an appeal to say, no, this was irrelevant evidence that was introduced and a judge allowed it. And then you got your illegal who's getting off, right, because of a technicality. And that's what lawyers do. That was irrelevant evidence, so you can't introduce it.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
It's a lot. It's a lot, Paul. Thanks so much for calling. I'm going to grab another call here, all right? Thank you.
Take care.
Take care. Bye. Roosevelt. Oh, hold on a second. Roosevelt in Chicago. How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Patty, thank you for taking my call. Go ahead. Ask me. Am I hydrating?
Are you hydrating?
You know what I'm drinking?
What are you drinking?
I'm going to speak Spanish now. Topo Chico. You hear that?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. No Topo Chico. Do I ever hear that?
That's where I come from.
Pretty glass bottle with the
that's where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means? It means little mole. Little mole. Little, like you have a mole on your body. Okay. Yeah, that's what it means. That's where I'm from. I'm from that area, not far away from there.
Okay.
I mean, where I was born.
Are you drinking the regular Topo Chico, or are you drinking the spiked Topo Chico, which they also make now?
No. I'm an old-fashioned dude. My uncle, my father's brother, had a tavern, so I grew up with that, with all that. They used to come and the trucks used to deliver and everything. Give me free everything, the original Coca-Cola and all that from Mexico in a bottle. Everything in a bottle back then. But you know what? I'm going to switch.
Did you know it's owned by the Coca-Cola company now? I didn't realize that. Topo Chico is now. It's now.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Everything.
Did you ever hear? I know your mom knows this, but I don't know if you do. You're
yes,
born
go ahead.
here and raised here.
Yes.
Do you know Jumex? You know what Jumex means? Juice. Jugo means juice in Spanish.
Juice.
And it's shortened.
Say that clearly. Juice. It means, right.
Jumex. Jumex.
Right.
Okay. That was bought out too. Everything, all these bottlers that I grew up with, they bought them out, and it's just like the beers. All these beers Like, to me,
sure.
all these beers, to me, I grew up with that stuff. That's all cheap beer in Mexico. And here is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? They make it a big deal. Like Cata Blanca, Dos Equis, you name it, Superior. I recommend Superior. If you want to get drunk, drink 2 or 3 Superior Dark. The dark beer. It's called Superior.
Okay. By the way, did you know that there's a company called Diageo, by the way, a highly conservative company that owns Don Julio and Casamigos are not making they claim that it's agave, 100% agave. It is not. It is not. It's made with grain alcohol as well. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Look, whenever you get a chance, a little time, free time, you're always running around all over. So whenever you get a little free time, look up how many American celebrities own companies that put out tequila. I think even Michael Jordan has tequila, his own tequila. So I think Shaquille O'Neal and some of those people.
I'm sorry, it's corn sugars, not. I didn't mean grain. I meant corn sugars.
Yeah,
alcohol derived from corn sugars.
Let me get off the subject.
Yes, we have a minute.
Okay, I like when Paul calls because he switches up my way of thinking as far as the subject. What I wanted to talk about doesn't mean nothing. I want to hit sports in particular. Mm-hmm. You know, Trump's favorite sports to watch. You know what it is?
Wrestling. No.
Okay.
No. What?
UFC fighting. They make such a. You should see. You got to see that on YouTube. How when he comes in, they all make a big deal. That guy that
That's
owns.
Right. He's having UFC fighting on the front lawn of the White House coming up soon, doesn't he?
Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, because they kiss his butt, and Joe Rogan. That's where Joe Rogan is from too. He's one of he interviews the wrestlers. I know this because my kids are into UFC. And I tell them all the time that Joe Rogan is a you-know-what, you know? Yeah. But when it comes down to sports, did you see the sport of golf where he...
Yes! we talked about this yesterday. Where his caddy dropped the ball at a sweet spot where he likes to hit from. Yeah, he's a turd.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I mean, and he cheapens everything. Everything he touches, he destroys, and he's got to make a spectacle. What I wanted to talk about is did you see?
You can't talk about more. This is the end of the show. I gotta wrap up, my friend. I'm sorry. All right,
that's okay.
Thank you, Roosevelt. I appreciate it.
I'll save it for tomorrow.
Yeah, we will be here, and Dwayne Kennedy will be here as well, and we'll be talking to Ellen Holly, founder of the Southern Wisconsin Grassroots Network, on Choose Views. Abe Scar, director of Illinois PIRG, Choose Views from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., and on Jonas Bezito, Illinois State Senator and Democratic candidate for Congress, Mike Simmons. Tune in. And William Muck. I know you guys love William Muck, professor of political science at North Central College. Jonas Bezito, 2 to 5 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us. Lady B, have a great night. Bye, everybody.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. The world's leading authority on global food crises says Gaza's population is facing the worst-case scenario of famine. Senate Democrats are imploring the Trump administration to do more.
More than 40 lawmakers have signed a letter urging a resumption of ceasefire talks, and they're blasting an Israeli-backed U.S. group that was formed to distribute food aid in Gaza, saying it's instead added to a growing civilian death toll.
We need to get that humanitarian aid in.
Nevada's Jackie Rosen is among the message's leaders. It comes a day after the president publicly pushed Israel's leader to get more food to Gaza. Today, the president said again the U.S. will set up food centers with Israel overseeing them.
We think they can.
Progressive Insurance with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter. WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. Had a moment the other day that just begged for a reality check at the rehab center I take my wife to. There I was. I'm rolling my wife's wheelchair up a sidewalk when I found myself behind another guy similarly pushing his wife in a wheelchair. Only this guy, I think he was auditioning for captain of the Olympic complaint team. Every 4-letter, 16-letter, every bit of FCC unfriendly language you could fathom coming out of this guy's mouth, basically cursing out the universe. Because shock of all shockers, pushing a wheelchair uphill, it's hard. I know, I've been doing it, and it's hard. It's harder if you don't have anyone to push you. And now understand, I'm not going to pretend like I don't have my days where I'm not thrilled or I'm grumbling or whatever. I'm not saying that, and nor would I ever. But what caught my eye about this guy, big truck, like me, I've got a truck, and I've got steps. My wife gets in and out of the truck with the steps that I put in place. I get it, but he parked front and center in the handicap spot. Now we park at all the way to the end of the parking lot so that someone who needs it can use it. Just how it is. And I don't begrudge anyone of taking the handicap spots. But again, what caught my attention was this guy's big pickup truck, basically wrapped in Trump paraphernalia, big flag, the centerpiece of F. Biden and Kamala's, definitely not poor based on the amount of money he had to spend on stickers. It was a rolling fanatic wagon, subtle, very subtle, but hard to miss. And it's also hard to miss where this guy stands on big government. So, me being me, because sometimes I don't know, sometimes I can be a little bit of a jerk, but to make a point, because I do appreciate irony. I said to him, I go, yeah, you gotta love it for old George H.W. and the feds, man, making our lives just a tad easier thanks to that ADA. And he didn't give me a response. There was I was expecting a giant, blank you. But that didn't come. He just gave me a look. But I think I did make his task a little easier because he did step it up. And the audible complaining that I was hearing just kind of turned into inaudible mumblings. Now, his wife looked at me, she smiled, a big smile. So it was one of those things where I don't know if she got it. I kind of think she did, or just a really nice person like my wife. My wife does that all the time. Whenever she's apologizing for me, it's always with, sorry. But, it was one of those things that just grabbed my attention because here clearly someone who is an anti-government person, benefiting from, just a little bit of government legislation. And I didn't even get to talk about the prime parking spot his Patriot Mobile occupied. I didn't get that. Also courtesy of that very same government that clearly from the library, the rolling library, he hates. And fun fact, every inch that he didn't have to muscle that chair over a curb or across traffic was paved by federal law. And interestingly enough, a federal law, brace yourself, that was signed by a Republican president. That's right, HW was a Republican. Well, today, not so much. But, back when that crew sometimes did things occasionally for we the people, not often, but sometimes. So if you're burning gas railing against government overreach, but still cashing in on the perks, maybe pause the outrage just in those brief moments when those evil regulations make your life a little bit less miserable. And look, like him, I know what he's going through. I feel his pain. I do. I understand the anger. But understand, the Americans with Disability Act didn't fall from the free market tree. It wasn't bestowed on us by benevolence. People fought for it. I remember those days. People chained themselves to buses, got arrested, got dragged out of buildings, and forced Congress out of its stupor for just a moment to make sure that, well, he nor I had a heart attack breaking our you-know-what's doing the work that we're doing. And it was 35 years ago. The ADA wasn't, again, handed down. It wasn't benevolence. It was fought for. It was pried out of the hands of lawmakers. Had they not done that, people would still be stuck at the bottom of the stairs. And since 1990, when this law was passed, it's meant more doors, literally and metaphorically, are opened for millions of people. Was it perfect? No, by no means was it perfect. Nothing government ever does is perfect, but hey, nothing corporate America does is perfect either. Not even close. But with this law, it meant millions of people weren't just shoved out of public life so that everyone else could enjoy their freedom. And I'm sure before his wife ended up in that wheelchair, like mine, didn't give it much of a thought. But here we are. It's kind of like deja vu all over again. The same folks who love a reserved for disabilities parking spot, they're fighting tooth and nail to gut the ADA. They've already shrunk Medicaid, and, well, they're going after Social Security disability. And interestingly enough, they're the ones who also benefit. So I'm curious how my Trump-loving friend is going to respond when Medicaid gets gutted. I know during the 2015-2016 campaign, you had a lot of mocking of the disabled that's going on, and I guess we're back to that. But understand, without those burdensome regulations, it would be a lot harder for us to do the work that we're doing to help our spouses. And the thing that bothers me is every time I hear my government hater friends sobbing about red tape, I think about what it took to get those curb cutouts, the handicap access bathrooms, the handicap parking spaces, the sidewalk access, that just recently in my life I've had to appreciate. Now imagine a lifetime of that. And that's where my mind goes. Imagine that's your reality. I hope, I pray we are working every day that my wife is not going to need any of that stuff at some point down the road. But you know what? I'm glad it's there. And the angering part of all this is you've got the Republican Party pretty much lockstep in chipping away and doing away with burdensome regulations like the ADA. The Republicans and Republican-led states have been working overtime for years to chip away death of 1,000 paper cuts. And now you've got Trump, who's basically on a crusade to finish the job in the name of freedom or cutting the red tape. And what it really means, honestly, is you're going to make the lives of the disabled, of the people who are helping the disabled, you're going to make it a lot harder. And why? So big businesses and their rich donors don't have to bother thinking about us. Don't have to think about access. Don't have to think about fairness, basic human dignity. None of that. Because, truth of the matter is they don't want to see those people. And just recently, we have become one of those people. Understand, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The original ADA passed in 1990 was relentless activism. Relentless. Again, people chaining themselves to buses, dragged out of buildings, jailed, just to win the right to exist in public, to work, to be part of society like anybody else. And look, I give H.W. Bush the credit he deserves, because he signed this. He put his name on it. There were Republicans that supported this, and they supported it for about 5 minutes. It was a nice press conference. Everyone got to feel better. Everyone got to pat each other on the back. It was big hugs until you actually had to do it. And then all we heard about is, well, the compliance costs are way too expensive. And there are too many frivolous lawsuits, because people are going, hey, we have this right. We have this law that's going to make our lives better. How do we get it? And it was one of those situations. I've watched this over the years because I have been a supporter in that world. They like to use the word ally. Okay. Because I understand bad things happen to people all the time. Any one of us is one idiot woman making a left-hand turn in front of you away from being in this situation. One illness. And if it comes, and I hope for you it never does, but if it does, don't you want that kind of access? And understand, Republican states and Republicans for years have been trying to dilute enforcement because they want business off the hook. They're the business party. And anyone who asks for anything, they're gaming the system. And they always pick one of the most extreme situations. I was thinking of this, a moment ago. I was talking to a friend of mine who's blind. And I said, I saw this story a couple of years ago, and he and I had talked about it at the time, and I wanted to refresh my memory of what he had said. And I go, there's a blind guy going to a movie theater, and he's suing because he wanted to have a description of the movie, because evidently this is there. I didn't know it. But evidently, because of the ADA, there was if you go to a movie theater, they're supposed to give you like a headset, and you can listen to someone describe the scene as it's happening. I was like, that seems a bit excessive. And he's like, yeah, to you, because you can see it. And I'm like, yeah, good point. And I'm like, well, I wonder how much it costs. Not very much, evidently. And at the time when that story came out, it was painted as, look at this guy trying to make money off the system. And the reality is the guy was just going, hey, look, I want what the law affords me. And that's the ability to participate like anyone else. And in that moment, I went from, thinking, wow, that's a bit excessive, to, yeah, it actually kind of does make sense. But now you've got an entire think tank world, Republican machine, a movement that's spread like cancer in the names of reform and reform. And whenever you hear the word reform coming out of a Republican's mouth, in my view, it's always, screw those people. And in this case, it's just screw people with disabilities. Take the push for the ADA Education and Reform Act, House Resolution 620. I think this one was, they did it back during the Trump years, and I think it's back. What they want to do is make it harder, not easier, for the disabled to get actual justice, like the guy saying, hey, I want to be able to have this this description. And you've got GOP states who have blocked this. The hurdles have been raised so people can't sue. They're dragging their feet on bringing buildings up to code. You name it. And more importantly, gutting the funding that goes into enforcement of these rules. It's one thing to have a law on the books. It's one thing to say, yes, you have the right to be able to get access to a building. It's another thing to find some way to enforce it. And if you got all the funding, kind of like they're doing to OSHA and all the other enforcement arms of our government, it's on paper. Good luck. And understand, you've got a chorus of Republican governors tripping over themselves, pledging support to dear leader for every one of his anti-equity moves, and ready to rubber stamp the policies that punch downward at the most marginalized in our country. Because the weird thing is, and we talk about Christian nation, and the people who talk about Christian nation the most seem to be the ones who kick the poor, the disabled, the elderly, seem to be the ones who do it the worst. And look, you've got Trump, who's never seen a disability regulation he wasn't ready to nuke. And look, last time he was in office, the Department of Justice slashed 11 key ADA guidance documents. Quietly, of course. During the pandemic, during the chaos of the pandemic, they went and they made it harder for businesses, for schools, for hospitals to even know what access looked like for Americans who have disabilities. So if you want to take on your boss or the landlord or who knows, because they violated the ADA, good luck, buddy. Go ahead, go sue. I don't think you have enough money. I don't think you have enough time. And the system appears to be tilted against all of us. And here we are with another Trump government ready to swing the regulatory destruction wrecking ball, gutting rules, yanking guidance, encouraging Republican states to turn back the clock to the good old days where we just put those people in their place. And now you've got executive orders and all the budget gimmicks. They're literally clawing back billions in social spending. And thank you, Congress. The Christians. And you've got Republican states ready to do the exact same thing. And understand, none of this is reform. It's class war. It's culture war. Pure and simple. And Trump and his allies are telling the disabled people to sit down, shut up, and don't count on the law. It's not going to help you. Basically saying, hey, if you're lucky enough, you'll get a parking spot. But don't you dare ask for more. And the irony is, I go back to the guy with the mobile library, the Patriot Mobile. Those are the ones who count on those laws. And he will be the first to howl when that ramp disappears, when that accessible restroom that we both use to help our spouses go to the bathroom, when that goes away, he'll be the first to complain. Because what we're in the middle of is a relentless campaign by Republicans, especially Trump, to shove the disabled out of public life, one regulation, one lawsuit, one cost-cutting stunt at a time. The question is, will you let them? Are you willing, ready, able to stand up, speak out, fight back? I want to hear your thoughts. Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. You got a story like that? I also want to hear it. Back after this.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
We are AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. We represent 700,000 federal and D.C. government workers who are the vital threads of the fabric of American life. We support our nation's military. We take care of our nation's veterans. We protect our nation's borders. We respond to our nation's crises and natural disasters. We provide services to our nation's seniors. The American Federation of Government Employees. We work for America.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So I was looking at a Committee for a Responsible Budget report that pointed out that, guess what? Social Security is going to face a major cut if nothing's done. And guess what? It's going to be working people who end up footing the bill. They point out that potentially a 24% cut is coming in just several years. That could be for a couple over $18,000 a year in 2033. Also, Medicare, there's an 11% cutting as well. And you go, is this what we want? Is this what we need? Is this smart? Because understand, chopping Social Security benefits is not just a rotten idea. It's theft. It's bad policy. It's a disaster for working class people. And it's a gift wrap present wrapped in red, white, and blue for our wealthy elite. But it also should be criminal. Understand, these are promises that were made to people for their entire working lives. And look, clawing back Social Security benefits isn't just a numbers game. It's really a power play. To keep workers down, poor, and, scrambling. So corporate America and our billionaires can keep their wallets fat and do zero heavy lifting. And make no mistake about it, the working class is going to be the one that bleeds out over this. First off, Social Security isn't some crazy retirement plan you can fix by cutting benefits. It really is anti-poverty insurance. It's a social safety net for millions of people who rely on it to put food on the table, keep a roof over their head, pay medical bills. Understand, for way too many people, it's the difference between dignity and desperation, between paying the rent and being homeless. It's that lifeline that keeps disabled workers, survivors of tragedy, low-income retirees from abject poverty. So cutting benefits isn't fiscally responsible. It's the Republican response to gut the purchasing power of millions of people who actually keep this economy going. Understand, when Social Security recipients get their money, they spend it. When they have less money, what do? They buy less food, fewer clothes, skip medicines. Simple truth. Poor and struggling people don't hoard cash. Not like our billionaires. They spend every dime. And that goes into the local economy, especially Main Street. And look, our wealth class brethren, they love this. Because what weaker Social Security simply means they don't have to pay any more taxes. Corporate America can get away with it. These are people who have successfully dodged paying their taxes for decades, and yet we just gave them another handout. Our politicians, our political class, they keep Social Security underfunded. Why? So they can justify cutting it more. Because in order to save it, we got to kill it, right? So we've got the very wealthy sitting on piles of cash, hoarding. They've got all their tax loopholes, all their inherited wealth, all that stuff, and yet we're going to slash grannies Granny's food budget? Look, understand, they don't want a robust, thriving working class that demands better wages, hours, conditions. They don't want that. They want desperate workers grateful for crumbs, for what falls off the table. Why? Because, again, easier to exploit. For me, the thing that I love about Social Security is, it raises that floor. It's a progressive plan. And it was by design. Yes, it replaces a higher percentage of income for lower earners than higher. That's why they call it a redistributive program. And it should be. It is one of the very few government programs that actually fights inequality as opposed to, turbocharging it. And I believe we could make it even more progressive, and we should, and we must. Raise the cap, scrap the cap. In my view, scrap the cap entirely. Don't raise it, scrap it. So that the Bezoses, the Musks, the rest of them pay Social Security tax on 100% of their income like every working person. Close their loopholes, expand benefits for people. Include more types of work. Caregiving, for instance, something I've become somewhat acquainted with. Gig work as well. But the problem is most of that is done by women and people of color, and we don't seem to have any interest as a political class to do anything for those folks. So instead of cuts, what we should be demanding, and instead of status quo, what we should be demanding, strengthen, expand Social Security, increase benefits, especially for folks who are on the edge, and tie adjustments to real cost of living hikes. Include health care, which I don't know if you've noticed, it's skyrocketing. We should be investing in this system so it can support a growing, aging population. Yeah, this guy. So if it means higher taxes on the very wealthy and corporate America, that makes sense. What doesn't make sense is slashing the benefits of hardworking retirees and people who've hit hard times. But when you hear politicians talk about saving Social Security by cutting it, recognize what their agenda is. Simple. Keep the wealthy and the poor and the working class struggling. We shouldn't be buying into this. Social Security is not an entitlement. It is a negotiated contract, a worker-backed insurance plan that protects all of us from sinking into abject poverty. And understand, trying to erode it isn't just bad economics. It's a moral failing. And from the people, oddly enough, from the people who tell us that they love the Jesus, it's quite remarkable. So we have to demand more, a more progressive system, a more redistributive system, one that works for, all of us, and one that makes sure that our commitments are met and that people don't go hungry. People like you, me. Want to hear your thoughts? Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Gonna take a quick break. Right back.
WCPT Replay.
Our good friend Sarah Jones from Politicus USA. Welcome to the show.
There is all this infighting about specific issues when we are fighting fascism. So we have to unify. And I think that the base can drive the party in the right direction. They have the power. They're the ones out there protesting. They're the ones getting their voices heard. And it's really important to use that energy to drive these people in the right direction. It's about, can you unify everybody in the party to vote in a way that at least uses the power of the minority the best way that you can? In the broader scope of things, the issues that we care about and we want to fight for are irrelevant if we don't have a democracy, because they'll never be addressed if we lose our democracy.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Progressive Insurance with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is Rick Smith.
So for years, I've been talking about how the right has, well, they've kind of staked their flag on they're the party of religiosity. They're the godly party. And yet the things that they do, questionable. You look at the one big, beautiful nightmare bill that they passed, or as I was calling it, the anti-Jesus Robin Hood and reverse bill, where we literally made billionaires wealthier while kicking poor people even more. And you go, how did we get to this place? And it's one of those things that I've told my friends on the left, my progressive friends, my Democratic friends, my liberal friends, of hey, there are faith-based groups on this side. There are religious people here. Why don't we hear more from them? And that's why when I found votecommongood.com and the folks over there, I said, we got to get some of those folks on to talk about the work that they do. And that's why I've asked Denise Murphy-McGraw to come share some thoughts. She's the co-chair of Catholics Vote Common Good. Again, you can check out their website, votecommongood.com. Denise, thanks for taking time for us.
Thanks for having me, Rick. What a pleasure.
So let's start in the spot where I just said, no, look, the right has claimed ownership of God and of religion. They claim we're a Christian nation and we've got to follow whatever bizarre thought process they have. And it doesn't seem to be that balance. So when I found your group, I'm like, here's an opportunity to add some of that balance and some of that conscience that seems to be lost from our brethren on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it all the time on this show, and a lot of other progressive leaders talk about it, and it's a great concern, is the hollowness of the Republican Party's, religious right, their Christianity, whatever that is that they seem to be bringing to Washington right now. I look at our vice president who is a newly minted Catholic, and they all claim to share those same values that I do. I don't know. I don't go to church with a lot of people who think it's okay to take away food programs from kids or health care programs from senior citizens. So, there is a progressive left. They are a very faithful group. And especially within the Catholic community, it really, it speaks to how many of us were raised with those Catholic social justice teachings that really talk about the issues that are so pertinent today.
Yeah, no, look, I say it all the time. I grew up in the 70s in the Catholic Church, and the focus, at least in our parish, was peace and social justice. You had, priests walking picket lines. You did things to help the poor, even though we were in the poorest parish in the diocese. You did things to help each other, and yet somehow in my lifetime, that whole love thy neighbor, heal the sick, take care of the poor, feed the hungry, all of that stuff seems, at least if you look at what's going on in Washington, seems to have gone by the wayside.
Totally foreign to these guys, totally foreign. I love what you said. We were raising money for poor people. We were poor, right? But as kids, we didn't know we were poor, right? Because we had a community, and because we were doing things like raising money for kids in Africa and making sure starving people ate. That's just how we lived our lives in the 70s. We had folk mass and guitars, and, we sang about these issues. So it weren't just something we were learning in school or at after school religion classes or at home. These were just part of exactly who we were. Now, some people got away from it. And the right has done a tremendous job of driving a wedge, especially in the Catholic community, on abortion. And, there are a lot of people who either, they don't want any part, they can't justify in their minds, being pro-life and being pro-social justice. They're certainly not progressives. And they have sort of walked away from that, and they've gone to that side. And then there are other people who have sort of walked away from the Catholic faith altogether because they are concerned there aren't enough people like us out there still, Rick, who really, they know how they were brought up. They know how they were raised. They vote that way. They live their lives that way. They write their checks to organizations that way. And, we're here because we just, we saw that real need over the last, it's been for a very long time now, but for over the last 5 years or so, that Catholics and progressive Catholics who were raised like this are looking for a voice. And they know that voice is not J.D. Vance.
No, and it's really important to bring those people together and do the organizing, because look, there's a lot of things to be fixing. So when I found your group, Catholics for Common Good, and your mission, which is basically rooted in bridging faith and politics through basically common ideals, I go, how did you come to this? What inspired you to get to doing this, and what keeps you motivated?
Sure. Keeping us motivated isn't the easiest thing in the world right now, but about 5 years ago, there were a bunch of Catholics all over the country who were working on, trying to elect Joe Biden as the second Catholic president. We formed a strong network all over the country. We were talking regularly, and when I say regularly, every couple of days in some sort of organizing event. We knew then that these kind of folks, these Catholic mass goers in Pittsburgh and Philly and, in Detroit and in just all over the country were going to be that secret weapon for Biden. And then he won. And, we stayed connected, but everybody was saying, well, what are we going to do now? And we needed a more formal organization. Catholics for Biden couldn't go on forever, and obviously it couldn't even go on for as long as we wanted it to. So we've hooked up with Vote Common Good, which is a very well-respected evangelical Christian organization that's been together for about 10 years now. They organize around the country, progressive evangelical Christians. And I just went to them to talk about getting some advice on how to set up an organization like this. I didn't know. And they said, well, come with us. We'll help you. Yeah. We'll help you set up your website, and we'll help you set up, everything's about getting your word out and sending out emails and things like that. They provided the infrastructure to us. And I said, I couldn't have asked for anything more. They just, in the true spirit of that, like Christian support, collaboration, they took us in. And, we've been going strong for the last 5 years now. It's really been terrific. We have just people from all over the country who get engaged, who want to talk about these issues. And obviously, things like Zoom and webinars and things like that, make the country a little smaller, and things that we probably couldn't have done 10, 15, 25 years ago in terms of national organizing, we can do pretty easily and pretty cost effectively now. We're all volunteers. And we're really just, committed to the whole idea of getting together more like-minded people, more people who are committed to those Catholic social justice teachings, seeing a government that reflects that a little bit more, and helping elect people who do care about that.
Yeah, for me, it's amazing how even in this day, how politically divided we are, but religiously we're divided. And you think that, the book is what it is. It's pretty straightforward. Love thy neighbor as thyself. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. They go, this is, and I know my lefty friends like to say, Jesus was a hippie liberal socialist. Yep. But to be honest, a lot of the things that he talked about and pushed for, kind of in the wheelhouse of what Democrats believe or claim to believe, and what I think we as working class folks should want. No?
Well, that's exactly it, Rick. And it was how so many of us were raised. That I grew up in a union household. My husband grew up in a union household. We saw firsthand the kind of life that organized labor and what organized labor means, and taking care of the least among us and everybody within the organization, and making sure that the workers get their fair share, and coming together collectively to do things. That's how we lived, right? So, our fathers and our mothers, lived that, 9 to 5, a Monday through Friday. And on the weekend, we went to church, and we were hearing the gospel, and we were hearing, these kinds of lectures to us.
Yeah.
About
those sermons
these
were all
same
about it.
topics.
the sermons were all about, again, back to peace and social justice.
Exactly.
So the question is, how did we get from that, love thy neighbor and feed the poor and all of that, to hooray for me, God wants me to be rich, the whole prosperity gospel and all that? How did we make that as a country, that transition? And, well, how do we fix it?
God wants you to buy this Bible from me.
Yeah.
Right? There's no greater bastardization of the whole thing than that alone. But how did we get here? I just think the other side has done a better job of co-opting these folks, of convincing them that they're like them. I don't know who or what Catholic who grew up the same, my age, grew up in the same world that you and I did, Rick, think that Donald Trump is like them. But hey, we got to deal with the hand we're dealt here. And what we just try to do is continue to remind people of that we do need to take care of our neighbors, that we do need to ensure that children are eating, that people aren't starving, that, wars are just not how we want to perpetuate our policies and our world policies. And we just have to make sure that we take care of the least among us.
Yeah, no.
And that is what I'm committed to every day of my life. And people find me from all over the country, whether they're, nuns or they're just people who, find me on social media or for a great opportunity like this. And they say, I didn't know anything like this existed. I felt like sort of an oddball at my parish.
So how can people get involved with what you do?
Right.
So how can people get involved with what you do? Because look, most of the, some of my Catholic friends, they're in churches where whether it's actually factual or just the perception is everyone's crazy Trumpers who are preaching this hooray for me and the heck with everybody else nonsense. How do you bring people in? How can people start doing what you're doing or organize? Because for me, religion should be that thing that brings us together, that lifts us up, that makes us want to be better people, not horrible people. And to me, one of the most disgraceful things that I saw during the whole One Big Beautiful Bill fight was a bunch of Republicans all in a huddle praying while they knew that they were taking away.
But then they were going in and voting for that horrible, destructive. I know. I want to answer your question in a couple of different ways, because you've touched on something else that we on the left in the Democratic Party have not done a good enough job in reaching out to people of faith. That we just sort of don't understand it. Maybe we haven't had the resources as a party, or I should say the party hasn't had the resources to reach out to folks like us. And, if we get, if we sit around and wait to get invited to the dance, well, we're going to be pretty lonely on Friday and Saturday nights. So we have to be able to do the work on our own and continue to reach out to the DNC, to the organizers around the country, to other like-minded progressive groups, organized labor groups, to let them know that we even exist and that we have an organization, and that people around the country who do want to become a little bit more involved in this, they are Catholics, who are raised in that social justice teaching and want to just do a little bit more and be with people and hear from speakers who are committed to that and help elect those kind of people who are going to bring that sensibility to government. Well, you are welcome in this organization. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to do anything. But, we're at CatholicsVoteCommonGood.com. We are there. You can find me. You can find my email address. I would love to have you get a little bit more involved. And I would love to, Rick, if I could just take 1 minute and just talk for a little bit about what we did last cycle, what we hope to do in the next cycle, so that people can feel like they really are making a difference. It's not just a group where they're going to get some emails and get hit up for money, because that's not really who we are. We really want to, kind of put our money where our mouth is and do that kind of shoe leather, old-fashioned organizing. In 2020, it was a different world. It was a pandemic. We were doing regular phone banks. We were doing regular text banks. We were doing all sorts of outreach. We were identifying Catholic voters and reaching out to Catholic voters about the Biden-Harris ticket. last year for Harris Walls. we really kind of upped our game, and we were a little bit more organized, and we were able to have like an independent organization. We did billboards in swing states. We were on the ground in swing states. We did thousands of postcards to Catholic voters. Again, in those swing states, we really identified within the swing state world, you know, that we all know what those swing states are and those places that we were all watching on election night.
Right.
But in those states, in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, there is a high percentage of Catholic voters, white Catholic voters in particular. There's a lot of other organizations that target other Catholic voters, Voto Latino and others, you know, in New Mexico and Arizona. We did the Rust Belt Catholics, and I'll tell you, the response was tremendous.
So let
and
me
we
ask
did
you,
phone banking.
because you know, when in talking, especially with the world that I know, which are, you know, as I said, I grew up Catholic. Most of the people that I knew or know, their focus has been on abortion and, you know, same-sex marriage and the transgender issue.
I know.
The culture war stuff that, you know, we're never going to get past, I don't think, at least in my lifetime. But, you know, for me, it was always that stuff that we grew up in, as we talked about a minute ago, taking care of the poor, taking care of the elderly, the imprisoned, all of that, the things that we were taught directly, you know, Jesus was telling us to do. This other stuff, you know, whatever happened to, you know, love the sinner but not the sin, and getting past it. How do you deal with that when you're talking when you're organizing? How do you deal with those issues? Because I gotta imagine that's the first club you're hit with.
Absolutely. And you know, I said, you know, folks who are looking for something more and always kind of felt like the oddball at their parish, they have found me. Well, the other side has found me too, right? So anytime I'm in the newspaper or I'm on a show, you know, the other side finds me and tells me I'm going to hell. But, you know, I know differently. You know, I know what the Beatitudes are. I know what the teachings we grew up with are. And I don't believe, you know, I haven't seen those passages in the Bible that go on and on and on about abortion or transgender or homosexuality. It talks about love. The Bible I read and, you know, and the sermons that I sit through talks about love.
Yeah, and
those homilies are never out there on all, you know, and not in my parish. I know in some parishes they are. But give me where those readings are.
No, then that's to me, that's the should be what the focus of religion is, and we should be calling out those people who are praying while they're literally taking food out of the mouths of children.
I know.
That's a struggle for me. So last question I've got for you: how do people find you? How do people get involved? How do maybe they start a chapter, do whatever it is that you're organizing around?
We would love to have people involved in any way they can, whether it's just that you're going to talk about us, you're going to get on a Zoom with us, or that you are going to organize Catholics in your area. You know, we give you the tools to be able to do that. You can find me anytime at CatholicsVoteCommonGood.com. We can get right back to you immediately. We'd love to have people who just want to learn more. We know that people don't go from, you know, watching a show or going to mass and then suddenly organizing people, but to learn more about the organization and to learn how you can get more involved and help really impact. I mean, we know what those House races are going to look like and those Senate races are going to look like next year.
Yeah.
And we know that to get involved at that grassroots level in that very targeted way makes a difference.
There you go. Denise Murphy McGraw, I appreciate you taking time for us. Keep up the great work. Hope folks will check out your website, votecommongood.com. We'll get links out on social media. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Rick.
Want to hear your thoughts? Email me, rick@thericksmithshow.com. Are you like me, tired of the right taking the religious high ground or claiming to take the religious high ground? Want to hear your thoughts? rick@thericksmithshow.com. Right back. Stick around. I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. This day in labor history, the year was 1956. That was the day that an oil tank explosion took the lives of 19 men fighting a fire at the Shamrock Oil and Gas Company in the northeast of Dumas, Texas. Dumas was in the Texas Panhandle. oil boom country. The day after the tragedy, the Chicago Daily Tribune carried the story of what happened. 4 huge petroleum tanks exploded today, bathing 19 men in a super hot wall of flame and killing them in their tracks. The towering orange fireball of the first explosion was sighted in Amarillo, 40 miles away. The events that triggered the explosion started when a flammable gas caught flame and flared into a small ground fire at Shamrock. Employees and volunteer firefighters tried to stop the blaze, but despite their effort, the fire grew. Just before 7 in the morning, a 12,000-barrel tank exploded. This ignited another 20,000-barrel tank, and then 2 more. 15 of those fighting the fire died instantly. 4 others later succumbed to their burns. Many more were injured. A news editor on the scene described what he saw, writing, quote, "A bright orange mushroom boiled up, floating in heavy black smoke, and I prayed that those firefighters would get out alive, but some didn't. 8 who died were Shamrock employees. The other 11 were volunteer firefighters. Today, a memorial bearing their names pays tribute to those who died. An inscription reads, quote, "But whether on the plains so high or in the battle's van, the fittest place where man can die is where he dies for man." In 2015, 68 firefighters died while on the job protecting people and property throughout the United States. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show. For more information, go to laborhistoryin2.com.
You're listening to The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.
Look, I've never been the preachy type. I've never been the outward religious type. I've not been the one to get up on the soapbox and do the whole hey, look at me thing. Look how religious I am. But the reality is the right has taken I'm not going to say the high ground. They've taken the flag. They've taken the messaging. The narrative is on their side. Because look, more of them go to church. Partly because they've pushed a lot of people out with their intolerance. And the thing, as a kid growing up, and much like Denise was talking about, as I grew up, it was really all about peace and social justice. It was about love thy neighbor. It was part of your community. And it could have been just my experience being in a really poor parish, that was the focus because of who the audience was. But, the Jesus that I learned about, didn't turn people away. Invited people to come in and repent and go try and move towards a new life, but never turned them away. And it also shows, the gospel also showed that, Jesus hung around with the outcasts, those condemned by society, and didn't reject them. And this idea that, Jesus wouldn't, the gay issue, I don't know. He was pretty radically inclusive because, like I said, the lepers, the prostitutes, the poor, heaven forbid. And, and affirmed that people had value, had worth. And look, as a kid growing up in a place where I never thought I was going to live past 30, because there was violence and death and all kinds of stuff around us, that idea that even I had value is kind of important. Again, may have just been the audience, may have just been, hey, you're down here with the rabble. But this idea that what we saw Republicans do and what they've done for decades in slashing social safety net programs and literally taking food out of children's mouths, that somehow that Jesus would be okay with that. No, I don't think so. Because as I learned them, Jesus' teachings were about justice, about mercy, about compassion, especially for the outcasts, the poor, the needy, the oppressed. And as I remember, again, Jesus challenged the power structures, confronted unjust systems, both religious and political. And the politicians and that type, I think. I remember one of the, and I don't know where it came out of, but, whoever wants to be great has to be your servant. I forget exactly how it goes, but it's something along those lines that, yeah, if you want to be the leader, you should be at the back of the line first. But somehow we've gotten into this weird kind of world where we've kind of made an angry Jesus. Instead of talking about mercy and forgiveness and restorative justice and people having the ability to find forgiveness, so much for blessed are the peacemaker. What we have is a religion in this moment where the narrative that I'm getting from my evangelical friends is basically hooray for me and the heck with everyone else. That 80s kind of the one who dies with the most toys wins. Yeah, but the problem is the one who dies with the most toys still's dead. You don't get to take it with you. And I go back to, being a kid growing up in the Catholic Church and them talking about taking care of each other, being part of each other's lives. That's why I like group. That's why I was thrilled to meet Denise and the group work that they're doing to kind of bring religion back to some bit of sanity. Because, I've always thought that it's odd that religion is something we fight over. Now, I know my friends are going to say, well, more people have died in the name of God than anything else. And that's true. Religion has been that thing that we fight over, especially, now where, on the right, it's mostly evangelical Christians, where Democrats tend to be scattered all over different faiths, different ideologies, especially about religion. Same books, though, which is kind of strange. And yet, you would think that the whole idea of religion is to bring people together, to make people better, to make people want to be better. And if you're working, I have people that I know who are working to get to heaven. And I always say, if you're working to get to heaven, probably a good way to do that, do something nice for somebody. Be somebody that other people want to aspire to be, not people who take food out of the mouths of children. And I know I'm fixated on that. But we've used religion in this country in very, very twisted ways. And that's why I'm glad to see groups like Denise's doing the work of at least saying, hey, there's another way. I want to hear your thoughts. Am I wrong? Do you think that things are just fine in your community, in your church? Are things better, different, the same? I want to hear it. Rick@thericksmithshow.com. Thanks for being here. I'll see you back here next time.
You've been listening to The Rick Smith Show. Email Rick at rick@thericksmithshow.com. Until next time, this has been The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk.
The far left's anti-ICE riots.
Republicans are so dumb. Because at WCPT, we go to Riot Fest to riot, baby! Riot Fest is back in Douglas Park, September 19th through the 21st. Come see all your favorite bands: Blink-182, Alkaline Trio, Weird Al Yankovic, Weezer, Green Day, and many more. Tickets are still on sale at riotfest.org, but lucky for you, if you join the WCPT 820 Club, WCPT will send you to Riot Fest!